Yo, what is going on? You know what's going on. You know what's going on. Let's hit it. That's right. It's the Outlaw Nation Show here live at 6 p.m. A couple of minutes after 6 p.m. here on the West Coast in Los Angeles. Thank you all so much for joining me here live on the Outlaw Nation Show. You know, this is a show that a lot of people asked me to bring back. And over the last few weeks, I've been nothing but incredibly blessed by the guests that I've had to come on to the show. And you all have responded in such positive ways, giving this thing a lot of likes. So many people watching these shows. And it's been my honor to bring it to you and talk about so many incredible subjects and talk about so many incredible things going on in the world. You know, with Mark Ellis, we talked about so many things. Roxy Stryer, so many subjects in her world and her life, so many different things going on with so many different guests. But today is one guest that I'm looking forward to speaking with, because we haven't had a chance to catch up in a few weeks. And this kind of affords us the opportunity to do so, because of course we're all self-quarantining, we're all self-isolating. So the fact that you get to see your friends again through this method is awesome on so many levels. Thank you to StreamYard. Thank you to YouTube for allowing us to do that. But more than anything else, thank you so much to the Outlaw Nation for joining me here live. And thank you so much for people like Wiley Todd and Suge Knight, who are going to be moderating throughout the night, and people like Jake Yacovetta, who did the overlays for the show, and Brian Ward, who did that incredible video intro for the show itself. So we're going to get into so many things tonight. I can't wait to talk to Ken Napzok. He is my guest tonight. So much to talk about: Schmoedown, Star Wars, sports, life, how he got an incredible woman like Grace to be his girlfriend. So many things are going to be covered here on this show, and I can't wait for you all to get a bunch of life lessons, a bunch of work lessons, and maybe some love lessons in your world from the man, Ken Napzok. And we'll get into all of that in just a second. But you all know we got Streamlabs, we got super chats going on. So start sending those super chats in, start sending those Streamlabs in for me and Ken Napzok. We're going to answer all of them tonight. And certainly another option for you is to come in live. So let me bring in Wiley Todd, who is one of my moderators here on the Outlaw Nation. Wiley, you got me this incredible mic here that I have in front of me. Pretty awesome stuff. How are you? And please let the people know how they can come in live to be a part of the Outlaw Nation Show and ask questions of me and Ken on the show itself.
Well, so it's very, very easy, guys. I heard you guys, and I know it's difficult out there. So we're trying to make that one difficult step less difficult. It's pretty damn easy. What you have to do is we're going to put in a link after 20 minutes. Before 20 minutes, we're going to allow all the Patreons of Rocha's Patreon. So if you guys want to join and get in the show early for other shows, you guys can join during this time and queue up in there. But after those 20 minutes, the floodgates will be open and you guys can just click a link and you will be in the show. All you have to do is allow your camera and allow your microphone. If you don't have both of those things, it's fine as well. Your phone works. It has both of them. So you can literally click any one of those and you'll be in. But once you're in there, you can mute the YouTube chat, because you're going to be hearing it through this StreamYard, so you don't have to worry about it. So you can watch the show live. This is the best way to watch it because it's completely live too. And at the bottom, it'll say you're in the show, so you don't have to worry. You're like, I'm in the show. What happens though is Rocha, like he just did with me, he can bring you in the show once your time is ready. He'll kind of give you a cue up. You're like, hey, I'm going to bring this guy in, so you're not caught off guard, and like going to the bathroom or something. I don't know why you go in the bathroom in the waiting room, but you got to do what you got to do. But it's very simple. We made it easy. If you have any questions, when I mean any questions, just message me, Suge. I'm Wiley Todd in the chat, by the way. Suge Knight, Jake Yacovetta is going to be in here for a little bit, so I'm sure he can help as well. It's very simple. And do it. It's fine. It's fine. Very easy. Don't get overwhelmed. It's very, very simple. And the link will be going through. So once it disappears, trust me, I'll be right back in there to put it in there. But again, that's after the 20-minute mark. That's for Patreons at first. So if you guys are Patreons and watching, you can go to the Discord, the exclusive Discord, and the link will be in there for you so you guys can queue up.
There you go.
Very simple.
Awesome. Thank you, Wiley, so much.
No
Look for his stuff that he's posting here throughout in the chat, and then we'll jump into it and bring you on a little bit later on in the show or periodically throughout the show, certainly. So let's jump into this thing. Thank you, Wiley. Really appreciate it, brother. Good to see you. All right. He is a host. He is a pundit. He has been at times a movie critic. He certainly can drop the news like nobody else in nobody's business, as he did for many years on the Schmoes Know, which he just reprised again recently here on the special Schmoes Know shows that are happening now, reuniting the old gang. He is also an author. He has written this incredible book about Star Wars, why we love Star Wars. I have it sitting somewhere in my bookcase over there behind me. Certainly a book that I enjoyed reading so much. And not only that, he's now writing about baseball too. He has found so many incredible passions, and he is so good at it. I read a bunch of interviews with him and listened to some podcasts to get me ready for this show, and I can't wait to bring him on to talk about all of it and everything that's going on in his world. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the co-host of the Afternoons podcast, the writer of Why We Love Star Wars, and one of the best Schmoedown managers, one of the best Schmoedown personalities you'll ever meet. And that is Ken Napzok. Ken Napzok, how are you, my man? How are things?
Oh, Johnny Rocha. I'm so happy to be here, man. This is great, man. I don't have to even have pants to be on this show. And
it's true. You don't need pants. A pantsless show, no problem at all there. Talk to me, man. How are you dealing? How are you doing with things? How's life going for you right now? Self-isolating, all that jazz. Yeah, adjust the camera. I know. Trust me. I know these weird things on the StreamYards.
It's all good. You guys can see my ugly green curtains behind me that I can't change. So I am great, man. I am overall great. I understand there's a lot of things going around. Some people in my outer inner circle, whatever, have been affected by the virus. So we keep that in mind. But we also got to press on. And I think you can be stir crazy, bored, or like I am, being extra creative and productive, and still be concerned with the world at large. And so that's why it's fun to do these shows under these circumstances.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And it's so great to have to sit down with you, man, because you're one of these people that I came across and immediately felt a kinship with and a connection to. Like we're older dudes looking at the world with a little different perspective. And I've always appreciated being able to have these conversations with you, from like the Schmoes Know into Collider to post Collider, everything involved with that. And it's great to see you kind of flourishing as a writer, just, kind of flexing a new muscle for yourself. That Why We Love Star Wars. Now you're writing for this website for baseball, is that correct?
I got fired.
Oh, you did? Oh, did you really?
Well, not because of me. The virus kind of shut down everything.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But
you're doing something. Is this what you're doing? What's the box score here? Talk to me about this.
No, so that is my new baseball podcast feed. That's up now. You can find it on some spots. Right now, it's hosted on Anchor, but I think it's how Anchor rolls things out slowly. So it's not super out in the public yet, but it will in a couple weeks get up and running, and that's going to house a lot of baseball podcasts, short form stuff. The show Behind the Bag with me and Tom Dagnino, which has existed on the Napzok Files, is going to move over there. A show called Legends of the Wax Pack, a show called My Favorite Baseball, and we're just going to have open-ended conversations about favorite things in baseball and a lot of different things. And if the season should come back or when it comes back, I believe when at some point, even if it's 2021, we'll do more daily content and just kind of reconnecting with my passion for the greatest sport in the world. Outside of marble racing. So that is out there now, Box Score Heroes, and you can follow it on Twitter too.
What do you expect? Now, we're in a weird situation now because of everything that's happening with the world of baseball and sports. Have you been paying attention to all of this? We see these plans coming out where they're going to play in one place in Arizona and put everybody up in a hotel and then keep them away from their family for 4.5 months. Like, is sports overall just getting super desperate to do anything to make these games happen to the point where they don't mind pushing these players into situations where they can't talk to anybody and they're by themselves for 4.5 months? Like, does this make any sense to you?
Yeah. I know that's kind of been broke today, and I have not read the article. I have not seen one bit about it. I see people talk about that. I'm not super familiar with it because I have spent 4 hours on the phone and in chat with Covered California today, an insurance issue. So that's been fun. So just going off what you're describing, it seems like, we might play games as best we can soon. I understand the desire to get it back just from a business standpoint. from all the people affected. And, obviously, if you're playing at one secure location, you're not going to have the security officers, the hot dog vendors, the parking vendors, all those people are going to still be out of jobs. And I know they're concerned about that. They're concerned about the minor leaguers and or at least like saying they're concerned about it. I know there's some debate over that too. I'm not one to push them to do it. We're going to talk about wrestling. I have some mixed feelings on what they've done, but overall, I'm okay with it. So if they're going to try to find the games to come back in some way, I'm all for it.
Okay. What are you focusing on? You just mentioned earlier a few minutes ago, this idea of being more and more productive. What are you focusing on? What are you using this time to do? Because like there's you could sit around the house and watch movies all day. And some people are probably doing that to prep for Schmoedown matches. But, we got to focus on bills and we got to focus on paying things off and, having a retirement or having a future. What are the things that you're doing? What are the things that you're doing with your time to make that happen?
I have been oddly fortunate in a way, because it didn't start out, 2 years ago, I started working at home.
Right.
Choice in that matter. So I feel slightly ahead of that curve as someone who had worked a full-time job all my adult life. Right. So this isn't new territory for me, isn't new territory for Grace right now. So we're finding, again, this is where I talk about the balance of being concerned of the bigger world or being safe and being protective and having friends and family dealing with this virus, but also finding ourselves on a daily basis, getting more done, finding more, stoking passions in other areas, starting some writing projects or something, but putting streaming this, it's amazing. StreamYard popped up. I don't know. I know some of the Call to Action guys were using it, and then JT one day, like January, JT's like, "Hey, I got this new program. You want to come on a show with me?" I was like, "Wow, this makes it almost inexcusable to not stream." Yeah. Like it almost makes it for a dummy like me who did run the TriCaster at Screen Junkies for a couple months, who still doesn't know how to. I have a Stream Deck. I have OBS. I have all those fancy smashy things. I'm a dummy. Right. I need this. So John, it just became. I'm just putting all my effort into being completely independent. As you know, our industry, if you're attached to companies, don't expect that to last. And time and time again, that's been proven. So that's where I'm focusing on, is working on my own.
It's a great point you bring up, Ken, because it has been a situation that I've had to confront myself too. The idea of, where's my dedication? Where's my work going to be appreciated? And when you're in a situation like that, look, all of us love the consistent paycheck, but then we're also like kind of beholden to whatever the person in charge decides, to beholden to whatever they decide who's going to be on what show and who's going to lead what show, whether we want to be on that show or not. It's that situation that we come to. So you see so many people in the industry losing their jobs or getting laid off or getting furloughed. We just had some of our friends get furloughed over at the old place. And so you see this happening. And I wonder what the landscape is going to be like, how it's going to change, because I think there's still the hunger for people to hear points of views on the news of the world, on the entertainment news, on movies and TV shows and things of that nature. Where do you see this going in this new phase? Like, I can't imagine us just expanding out. This happens and then everybody's just back to normal at an outlet. What do you think is going to happen?
It was already going this way, and we've seen people over the last few years, right? Love them or hate them, they've gone on their own and done things, and they're surviving. Crowd, right. I call it direct to consumer, Patreon, and all those kind of things. The support. Direct to consumer, and that's tough for a creative like me, and just a schlub like me. When I launched my Patreon back in like 2016, I was just this is icky. I don't know what to do, and I had a lot of people who were supporting me, write me, and be like, snap out of it. We're choosing to do this because guess what? I don't watch Netflix, and I paid like $14.99 a month for it. I canceled it. I listen to your shows. Stop thinking to yourself as someone begging. You're giving me content. You're giving me it's trade. It's fair trade. Yeah. And once you can wrap around that, and I know you were an early adopter, and you know a lot of your shows, like what you put into it is what you get back to, and then we build these communities and everything. Those kind of things are what's powerful. And some of the companies, and even without this virus, some of the big companies that you out there watching who are still watching and the companies are still going, you stand by.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
And there might already be big changes coming. And the people involved, writers, producers, editors, TriCaster operators, you can find work. But on air people, if you still want to do this, and I still want to do it, and you still want to do this, we find it on our own if you put the dedication to it, and the cream will rise to the top. The broadcasters will rise to the top. The people who do more than just hanging out on video chats will rise to the top. And whether or not we can make a living off that, time will tell. It's hard to make a living out here in LA, but we're doing it.
Yeah. Well, it was always circumspect in my approach to it. You're right. I mean, I had to force Matt to do it for the top 10. He was not a fan of opening the door for the Patreon. And I said to him, dude, we spend so many hours. We give so much time to the fans. Let's see if they're willing to kind of help us stay afloat in certain ways. And in exchange, we'll start planning these live shows and have merchandise and kind of like push the show. And thank God we did that as early as we did. And then Steve with Cinephiles was like immediately, like after the first month, he's like, how can we start a Patreon? I was like, I think we need a little more time. He's like, no, we need to start one just to see what happens. And sure enough, both of those things were things that I kept going while I was at the other place, because I knew eventually the hammer was going to fall, the axe was going to fall for one reason or another. And so it's always good to have this extra stuff roll around just in case. And now I'm trying to build it out on my own personal side with all the stuff that I'm doing. And I made the determination after January, like, I can't sit on my ass any longer. I've got to just kind of, I don't know, invest fully into this channel and see what it can do.
You got to leave blood on the tracks. And I think that's for any pursuit in life. We can turn back at any point. I've told the story before. I think it was talked about in your podcast, like May 2015, 17 years in LA. I was ready to move home, and things changed for me. And I had to go, and that wasn't the end. Like, I had to go through some obstacles and overcome some things, and learn a lot about myself and change, because I had some bad things going on. So it's possible if you put the work in, and it's tough. What a lot of people maybe don't understand too is we are fortunate in some of our situations where we are allowed to kind of build stuff outside of
that's true.
There's people out there, big names, big companies that have fallen where the talent had contracts that their YouTube channels were gone, wiped away, property of the company that they worked for. And I've seen that before. I've seen people ask that, well, why didn't so-and-so do this? They weren't legally allowed to do it. It was a conflict of interest. And I think, John, we took advantage of a good situation in that regard. Yes. I'm always, quite frankly, thankful to someone like Mark Fernandez, who was like, you got Force Center. You do Force Center, man. You build it. He never saw it as a conflict, and that allowed for a good base of operations to move on.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Certainly, I was never given any guff for being able to do the shows there that I did outside of Collider. So I appreciated that for sure overall. Let's talk about where you're going next. You've done so much. I was reading an interview with you talking about the past 20 years, and it's kind of weird. You're in this spot now where you're like starting to give back. Like you went back and hosted a show at your old place where you grew up. Was it Arroyo Grande? Is that correct? Where you grew up? Was it where you were hosting the screening of Empire Strikes Back, I think it was, and you were having a great conversation with people there, sharing your love of Star Wars. And then of course, now you're exploring the possibility of teaching. All this stuff is starting to kind of present itself to you, Ken. And do you feel like it's at the right time now? Like you open the energy doors of your world to like allow this stuff to come in? Because I know in the past you've always been really skeptical and kind of worried about it and circumspect and kind of like a bit self-defeatist at times. Do you feel like the energy has changed for you?
No, I still hate myself, John, but there comes a point in time. Look, first of all, you and I will make jokes about being old, right? We'll make jokes. Sure. We're not old. And no. I've started to push back against that because that's cost me jobs. It's cost me jobs. It's cost us gigs. And doesn't mean that the other people who get it aren't talented. Just there is kind of this, boop, you've aged out. And especially if you're a woman, that's even a more of a problem.
Oh, yeah. Very true.
So not to contrast and compare. It's like two different paths. But I've been in those conversations. I've I've been told, hey, man, can't hire you. You're too old. We're not old. My birthday's in a week or so. We still got life is new. We're not Rue McClanahan anymore. You and I are Marissa Tomei. You a little more pretty than me, but so what? But that said, to go back to your question, I'll tell you what. I was telling a story a little bit on Roxy's stream the other day. A chance I got to work a little bit with Roddy Piper, and this is a guy who had done a lot in his career, but also done a lot of bad in his life, and had made a lot of decisions, and knew he'd give many interviews. Didn't think he was going to be around much longer, and unfortunately, that was true. I got to witness him firsthand learn new things, stand-up comedy, hang around with those people, but also give back to wrestling. I've witnessed him in a locker room, an independent wrestling locker room, just sit and coach young people and give himself up. And if I might have some skills at this. So why not just start, getting ahead of it and breed the next generation or the other people who want to do it. Doing a lot of podcasting coaching on my Patreon page. The classes you talked about, I actually got the job, and now it's might not happen because of the virus.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I'm gonna start teaching at libraries in Thousand Oaks, Ventura County, and LA, teaching podcasting to preteens. And there's just something. There comes a time, John, where we're young but we're old. Where you look back and go, all right, what's my legacy?
Yeah.
I don't have much of a legacy other than I once ate 7 tacos and passed out, but I can share something that I have.
I got to ask you, when's the last time you had a 7-Eleven Big Bite? Have you had a quarter-pound Big Bite anytime soon or not?
So here's the thing. The joke always, I go to 7-Eleven a lot. I've never eaten hot food, right? I'd get coffee and some sandwiches, and I just make a joke of it, but I go. Well, during this situation, the one on my corner is fully stocked with food. And so I just had a cheeseburger yesterday. Put some barbecue sauce on it extra. Oh, so good, John. Jalapeno Big Bite, whatever, a couple of other days ago. I'm losing all the weight I started to lose. Grace and I are kind of adapting more of a vegan diet at home, at least for me.
Yeah.
I'll still have a steak out and about, I'm sure. But I started losing weight a lot real quick. Yeah. And, yesterday I ate an entire candy bar about this big. But to answer your question, yesterday, John.
Cheat days are not a bad thing, Ken. Cheat days are not a bad thing. You need them to balance out life. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I have a cheat life, John.
With the situation you mentioned, Grace, of course, everybody knows, you're dating Grace. You guys have been together for quite some time now. You're living together. What's the quarantine self-isolation situation be like? Because I know Grace, she's very into self-help and self-promotion, and she listens to all those podcasts that are about advancing your life and pushing your life to breaking through the boundaries and the borders to create an even better life. Like, what's it been like to be around? Like, what are you guys doing? What have you discovered about spending this much time together, and also how are you balancing out this amount of time that you're spending with each other?
So here's the thing. It sounds like I'm putting a little water on your fire. This has been what we've been for last year since we moved in together.
Gotcha.
Home. But I mean, I don't have the option to be like, honey, I'm going to go to the Comedy Store porch tonight. So your question is very valid, John, of like, what do we do? And we're very fortunate to have moved into a house and have a backyard to go get some space and some air. We have a gym here.
Nice.
I'm using it. I'm just usually eating a candy bar while I'm doing it. I was thinking of renting it out to people who need gyms for like $100 an hour. Just come in a hermetically sealed outfit. But so we're finding that balance, and we are, it's nothing new, but also completely new. And it's been actually a blessing. We've actually felt we've grown as a couple, where we have seen some couples around us going, oh God, one more day.
Right. I'm happy. We're in the same boat as well. We find our time. We find our times to be alone, and then our times to be together. And it's a good balance. And I agree with you. Like, in some weird way, and in no way am I excusing what happened in January, but in some weird way, it kind of helped prepare me for what was coming with this coronavirus, having had a bit of a 2-month head start on everyone else. I see now people who've been let go or furloughed or starting their own podcasts or their own live streams or their own things. And it's like you're watching them kind of like babies stepping and trying to not fall all over themselves. You've already had that time to kind of, you've had over a year to do that. Me only a couple of months, but once you get the rhythm going, it's almost a positive that situation happened to kind of give you a little more time to adapt, because everyone is going crazy out there and worried about so many things, and so you got to put tent poles in the ground. You mentioned something just a couple of minutes ago, this idea of Roddy Piper. We should get into WrestleMania 36, man. Let's jump into this situation. First of all, what did you think of them having it? And second of all, what was your feeling about the entire 8-hour WrestleMania?
Yeah, so full disclosure, I think the second day I missed most of the match. I watched a lot of stuff and the Drew McIntyre stuff, just to be clear, if we're having specific questions about those matches. Did watch the first day a lot. I think I understood. Let's start here. I understood why they didn't cancel it right away. And I've said this in other places, but WrestleMania brings millions of dollars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
there's no way either WWE or the city is going to be like, oh, you need to cancel it. We're going to wait to the last possible minute. This is why I still think you're not hearing things from Comic-Con or Star Wars Celebration yet. It brings in a lot to the city around it. So we got to take care of the economy. We got to kind of be concerned about that, obviously, as well as safety. I think I'm one who's going to side on safety first. So once they did kind of make the decisions, as long as the people involved feel as though they have a choice, and going there, I know most of them live in Orlando anyways.
Yeah.
I think if they're on board, I'll trust them as individuals to make that decision. Roman Reigns, we know, was like, yeah, probably not best for me. And it didn't seem like there was a problem, they kind of adjusted. So as far as that kind of stuff, yeah, great. As far as the actual event, I'm sure we'll talk, but I want you to feel like you can jump in there and I don't monologue about WrestleMania.
Well, I'll say this. I was surprised about how much I enjoyed it. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. And then to randomly do a live stream with Raven and Rob Van Dam, that was a weird situation that came out of nowhere. To watch WrestleMania with two wrestlers, one who had been in a couple of WrestleManias and one who had come close to being, I don't know if RVD ever made it into a WrestleMania, but I don't remember, but it was fun to kind of talk about it with them. But overall, I was surprised at how they pulled it up. I really was expecting to be one of those haters on Monday morning going, they never should have done this. What a waste of time. But they ended up knocking it out of the park in a lot of their matches. And overall, once again, man, the WWE, as soon as you put them down, you think they're done, you think they're sinking, they somehow find a way to climb out, like the Undertaker almost, climbing out of that grave and appearing again behind AJ. It's just incredible to watch.
Yeah, necessity, the mother of invention. We're all kind of doing that. I'm this isn't a great studio, but I have one now. I didn't have one. I wasn't broadcast out of here 4 weeks ago, but now I have to. WWE, you can't just pause the storylines if you're still going to do Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns. Like, it would take a lot. It would take a lot. So I understood why they wanted to do it. But John, you're a performer. Yeah. Those days we have to do the Schmoedown and the only audience is the camera guys.
Yeah.
Like, to find that energy, we're not heroes, but like it takes a lot to put on Monday Night Raws and SmackDowns and NXT shows and with no audience, but to do it on WrestleMania and commit to it, I really have hats off to everyone involved in that event.
Yeah. I mean, I was so surprised. But have you ever done anything like in your experience as the pit boss and what have you? Have you ever done an out of the ring match, like the Boneyard match? Has there ever been like a location wrestling match outside? Have you ever been involved in anything like that?
So this is really interesting. No, I have not. We were planning something. So for those who maybe don't know, starting from 2001 off and on, I've been involved with a company called Millennium Pro Wrestling. Still kind of like I have a finger hanging around it right now. I can go back to any degree whenever I want, but my friend and I, it's his company he's owned since then, and we've had some big names. We had John Cena on our second card. He had to pull off. He was the prototype back then. Frankie Kazarian, Adam Pearce, all these people, Spanky, Samoa Joe, all these people. So Piper, we at one point in like 2014 thought we had like a local UHF type of like local TV deal. One of the guys who was working with us was a guy named Ryan Katz. He used to wrestle with GQ Money and XPW in the early 2000s. And he's just this brilliant mind. And Johnny LaQuasto and I used to host a wrestling show on the early days of streaming, where it was like 2010. We were in some apartment in Hollywood. All this equipment, like these whirring computers, like it was Nash in the 60s, just to stream live on the internet. What? And Katz is this great guy. And he got hired by the WWE. He's a producer at NXT. And he's there, and he's one of the guys that kind of shot and kind of did a lot of work on the Boneyard match. He had pitched the show. He's like, let's not just set up a camera and tape our wrestling matches. I remember in this meeting, it was at his house at the time in like Burbank. He was like, what if we do like this in characters and matches and shoot it like short films and blah, blah. And it was just like, wow, this is great. So I don't know how much he had to do with even the decision to do this, because I know there's been the final deletion match. This isn't new to wrestling.
Right.
But how this one was pulled off was very similar. So I don't know. I just might be idly gossiping. Like, it was very similar in feel to what Katz had pitched to us. He was a genius back then.
Wow.
And he has got to be a genius now. He does great things, and he thinks outside the box all the time. Our friend Mark Donica was on set for this Boneyard match too, and everything. So I was really excited to pull it off. Like, if that was the only way we saw Undertaker wrestle for the rest of his career,
Yeah, I would have no problem with it either. I was very impressed by that. Yeah, apparently, I think Donica was a cameraman on this thing, so pretty insane to see him go all the way where he's part of this legendary match, and it will be, I believe, a legendary match down the road, one that they reference all the time. And if they keep doing it this way, maybe it'll keep working. But at least this one will be legendary in reference form, and I was impressed by that. And speaking of wrestling and everything like this, Ken, we had ourselves a hell of a Schmoedown backstage today. This debate has been raging for quite some time. Obviously, you're still involved in the Schmoedown, calling matches. You're on a faction. You're a Star Wars guy. You've been a heel. You've been a face. This big argument that is happening now is this idea of how to be a heel. We're in 2020, Ken, us old school wrestling guys still having to teach people how and what it means to be a heel. Does this frustrate you, or do you actually feel excited to pass on this information?
Yeah, no, I've talked about it before. So I apologize. I know you and I talked a little bit off camera. So was that kind of the crux of the argument of how to be a heel?
Yeah, it was basically that, because of this whole thing with Ben and Rachel. Like, were they really heels by, admitting that they were hurt by some of the comments from the fans? Have they lost their heel credibility? That kind of stuff was brought up, and how to be a heel. This idea of what you can expect if you're going to be a heel in the Schmoedown. What's your feelings overall about it?
So, I guess there's a lot of different ways to approach it. So let's just have a conversation about it. I don't think there's super wrong ways, and I don't necessarily think there's super right ways, but I think there's some fundamentals that you need to have. And at number one, it is a performance more than anything. Now, it's got to come from you. My turn on Rachel Cushing. Yeah, I don't know how much to get. If Christian Harloff happens to be watching, I never want to spill too much of the backstage stuff.
Right.
But I know sometimes it fuels more interest in it, so I try to respect that. But that was I pitched that idea because I'll tell you, Grace and I were secretly dating. We weren't allowed to date, and I wanted to kind of let it slip out, and the Schmoedown seemed a good way to kind of do that. And Christian was like, I love that idea. So that was what we did. And then by the time some things changed and we could be public. So, obviously I adore Rachel Cushing and help bring her into the league. And I love being a Nerds Watch and everything. So like everything was fake, but my storyline, the promos I cut definitely all came from me, but I don't know. So one of the things I always just say in heel promos is you have to be aware of the story at large. You have to be aware of the stakes, and you have to be aware that the I'm going to kick your ass stuff can come with makes you look weaker. Yeah. And any promo I do should have, if I'm doing it right. And look, sometimes it is just like, Rocha, I'm going to kick your ass. Yeah, that's sometimes it. Sometimes it should be like, look, John, you're one of the legends of the game. You're a Hall of Famer. I know everything you bring, but I'm still going to kick your ass. You have to get in your opponent and build them up. You have to. That's wrestling. That's moving stories. Paul Heyman is amazing. He's amazing at selling the next card, because that's what wrestling is. It's going to the next event. Come back next Friday night at 8 p.m. Bring your kids. This is the story. And if I beat John Rocha, it's got to mean something. And I just see a lot of people, fall short of that sometimes. That, that is what it is. As far as other stuff, I don't know. You take it away. We'll jump in here. I don't want to monologue.
No, I love when you monologue, man. That's why that's why I love having you on here, man. I always appreciate listening to your points of views on things, because it's always layered. They're not just straightforward. There's always reasons for why you feel the way you feel, your own experience, and the experience you've seen other people go through, for sure. And I appreciate that badly. I think that's what's important here overall. But the number one thing for me is always about, is your skin thick enough? I mean, because people don't understand, being a heel is incredibly difficult. You only see the successes, but you don't see the people who tried to do it and failed and weren't. I mean, most of the time, those are punchlines for those of us who watch professional wrestling. And in the Schmoedown, I think more than anything else, there are so many heels that have come through this thing that there is fundamental ways. I think Ken's absolutely right. There are fundamental ways to be a heel, but there's also nuance amongst the fundamentality, and that's important. important too. You have to have those fundamental things as your foundation, but then within them, you can mess around and you can have a little nuance to your heeldom that doesn't fit what you've seen before. Like Stone Cold with the what chance. Nobody saw that coming. It was kind of out of the blue, almost organic. Not sure if he intended for the crowd to go along and be a sing-song with him, but somehow he found a new way to be a heel that also made him charming. And it was like crazy how that happened.
Yeah. And as far as getting into the conversation of having it affect you, look, it's a weird time because like kayfabe, which by the way is the protection of the storylines. I hate when the word kayfabe is used as the storylines. It's incorrect. These are our gimmicks. Your outfit is your gimmick. That's what it's called. Kayfabe is just protection of all that. It's not when people go, oh, I like the matches, but I watched the kayfabe. That you're using that incorrectly. But kayfabe died. Kayfabe died in like the 60s and 70s. It just died on a national level in the 80s and a little bit later. But there's documented incidents of kayfabe just being broken in the ring. And it's a fascinating story. But the protection of it, it's never going to be like that. So the old stories you hear of Roddy Piper getting stabbed, something that happened because he got so much heat in Los Angeles with some great heel tactics. I mean, that day, everyone's beyond in on it.
Yeah. Now
everyone feels they're part of it because of social media, and the WWE and TNA and AEW have to factor this in, right? Like Kevin Owens can be a heel or a face, but online people don't treat him as Kevin Owens or don't treat him, Kevin Steen or whatever, they treat him as Kevin Owens, and you're online as Kevin Owens. You're online as John Rocha. You're also the Outlaw. So now the tweets and comments, the lines are all blurred, and I think there's going to be more feelings hurt. And I'll say this, and I don't know if this has ever sat well with Christian, but I have never really involved myself in anything online with it outside of the events.
That's true.
Blurred. And I know I'll talk about it. I love announcing. It's given me my dream to be a football announcer with Mark Ellis. But I have never outside of here's a show I was on. I've never been like tweeting, Rocha, I'm going to kick your ass. It starts to blur lines and it starts to bleed into other things. And I go on other shows, when you would come to like movie fights or something and people are like, the Outlaw's here. It's like, well, John Rocha's here. And it, obviously I want to build up the league. I want the Schmoedown. I want the Schmoedown to be in Madison Square Garden. I want that. And Christian's drive, it could happen.
Right.
And he might not stop till it happens, that's why I'm on board. So that's just me though. That's just, me. I can't say anyone else has done it right or wrong. That's just how I approach it.
Is there a memory from the Schmoedown that you're like, this is the one thing to either sell the show or the one thing that you were like, excited to have been in the building for? Is there one moment in the Schmoedown that you were like, every announcer has that one favorite sporting event they went to or one favorite thing they called. Is there a favorite match that you've called or moment you've witnessed as a person in the building during a Schmoedown event match?
I don't have a lot of recall. I honestly don't. But there was one tag match. It might have been JT and that partner of his that's abrasive. That always yells at me off camera about challenges. Might have been that. And they fought a team. There was a couple team matches where I remember. I think I turned. It might have been Harloff or Ellis on the desk. Was just like, wow, that was great. And so I get it. I get the appeal. We're all people. I remember back in the day, it was, and I'm always going to be on the more. I wish it was just silly and not giant, really serious competition, but I see it growing because it is real competition. So that moment, being at some of the live events changed it for me. Whether we're in front of 100 people or 1,000 people in Chicago, it's just fun, man. It's why I moved to LA 22 years ago, man, to connect with audiences and be there. And that's been more thing. And I remember it was actually Matt Nose at the first live event at the El Portal Theater. And Nose, Nose and I are two grumpy cats, man. And Nose is like, this is great. This needs to be how this goes forward. I was like, 100%. I told Christian that. I said, so you have unlocked a new wing of this.
Yeah.
And he knew that. already, of course, but like, you know, like I was like, this is good. This is good.
Yeah, that's what takes you to the next level. Let's jump into some Streamlabs here. We put up that super chat that rolled through. Ferris Bethune saying, you're the man, Ken. A lot of people feel that way. Listen, if you want to send in your Streamlabs, please, you see the address right above there in the graphic on the overlay. Send your Streamlabs, send your super chats in. Ken's taking time to sit down and talk with us and talk with you all. So please give some love, give some support to the show for that opportunity to ask you a question of Ken. First one here is from Cutter Hale. It says, hey, John and Ken. Hope everything is going well. Ken, just wanted to say I really enjoyed getting to talk to you in Houston. And thanks for autographing the book for me. I am now reading it for a second time. Thanks for all you do, and may the force be with you. Wow, strong statement there, Ken.
Awesome. Who said that? Who sent that again? Sorry.
His name is Cutter Hale. Cutter Hale.
Oh, yes, I do remember you, Cutter. Yes, I appreciate that. Yeah. No, thank you. Houston was great. Houston was a lot of, I sat outside hawking books like a door-to-door salesman. But no, I got to spend a lot of time with a lot of great folks out there. Will McClain, meet Will, who's a follower, supporter of a lot of us. So, yeah.
Yeah, Will's been waiting to talk to us, and we'll get to Will later. He's got a bit of a smart mouth, so I'm gonna let him wait a little bit. That's right. I treat Will that way. That's how it works. Yeah. Chris Hall wants to know, Ken, will you marry my girlfriend Kylie and I? Ken,
I mean, I'm not into open marriages. Is that what the question is?
I think he wants you to marry them, not marry both of them. But I never know with Chris Hall. He's an unusual cat, so maybe.
Like officiate the wedding.
Yes, I think is what he means.
I've officiated 2 weddings in my life, but they're people who are tremendously close to me. Right. So that's a different ball game. I'm not saying no. I'd have to think about that because I think that's fair. I am ordained through some click of a button on the internet, which is, I'm sure God's happy with that. But but it's like I officiated Matt Key and Brittany Wallach's wedding, and those are like 2 of my best friends, and Josh and Amanda. It's just like I know them, so well, so it just makes it a little different and a little easier.
Yeah. And Chris, you're gonna have to donate more than $1 to get Ken to officiate your wedding. That's my own personal point of view on that situation. Drunken Prayer donated was just trying to help keep the lights on. Lucky enough to be able to still be doing okay despite the UK lockdown, and all you folks are making staying home all day more bearable. Quick question: how did you both get your starts in the industry? Oh, that's a great question, Ken. How did you get started in the industry? You mentioned earlier moving out here to try to make your dreams come true in Hollywood 20 years ago. Tell me, how did you get your start?
Well, spoiler, they didn't come true, John.
Well, no.
I moved to Los Angeles in August 15th, 1998. I had started my career in radio after high school during college, and I came down. I did sketch comedy at the Groundlings and trained there with some wonderful folks like Kristen Wiig, and Mikey Day, and Nicole.
Wow, really?
Andrew Hotry, who's a big commercial actor. Tim Blaney, who's the voice of Frank the Pug and Men in Black, and that's Richard. It's a roll call of people who've gone on to wonderful things or did wonderful things. And then that ended, and I did stand-up comedy for a long time and writing and did a lot of screenwriting and a lot of stuff like that. But I've been open about that. I just failed. I failed hard and didn't leave blood on the tracks. That's what you got to, no matter what you do. You want to be a lawyer, you want to be supervisor at your job, you want to be a father, whatever, leave blood on the tracks, do it with the best of your ability. And then if it doesn't work, you can walk away. And I didn't feel good about walking away. Stand-ups, love and hate, that's a different thing, and I'm doing that with John. So anyways, or with Mark, but John, meaning you've been doing stand-up as well. Maybe short, to not go too long here and repeat anything I've said elsewhere. All of a sudden, 2011, back in 2007 and 8 range, Christian and Mark started doing Schmoedown. And I've said this before, we all made fun of them. We were all like, you dummies are reviewing movies on the internet. What is your problem?
Oh, you're Siskel and Ebert now? Oh, you're Siskel and Ebert now?
What are you doing? Like a YouTube channel? That's for like cats and lazy Sunday videos from Parnell and Sandberg. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then slowly it started to change, and they were working with Catherine Reitman. And it's like, anytime I watch Working Moms, I'm like, well, God bless Catherine Reitman and everything in that era. So it became viable. And 2011, 2012 range, they launched the podcast. That got me thinking about broadcasting. I started working with them for producing the show. But I wasn't getting paid. No money coming into this. And it just kind of grew from there. I started the Napzok Files in 2013, started hosting Jedi Alliance in 2014, a show you eventually took over with Gun Scrimshaw. And then, you know, it just kind of became a thing. So it was a new way for old entertainers. And I don't mean old like age, just people would move. We all, Christian and I will talk about this. Yeah. It's like, Christian and I will talk, it's like, we don't belong here. Like we're from a old Casio alarm clock on the side of the couch. Everyone else is a digital clock, you know, or like we fell into this industry. We also helped kind of establish a lot of it. You know, how many times, you know, RB3 was 7 when he watched the Schmoes.
Yeah. Right.
There's some people I see pop up in SEN. I was like, they weren't even born when I moved to LA. Like, but that's how it works, man. Yeah. I was 20. Yeah. I was the radio morning show host, co-host with my friend Matt Donovan from high school. I was a co-host at KBR 95 at the morning show 5 days a week, did the radio thing. I was 20. And I remember I was overhearing a DJ who was like 42. He had like 2 kids, 40, and he was in the lobby complaining to my boss about me having the job. And he's a kid. He doesn't know anything. I actually have seen the Beatles in concert. He loves the Beatles. Great. I've seen them. And there's times I've been doing that in the last couple of years where I started losing gigs and I was told, you can't host the show, this and that. And I remember, it's the circle of life. So that goes back to your giving back question. I better get ahead of the curve. Yeah. Start giving back and coaching up the next round. Anyways, long story short, that's how it happened. It just kind of, you don't know.
You never know.
Are going to lead you to your bigger successes.
If you're open to it, you have to be open to it. The failures are going to come. That is life. Look, only 2% of actors in this city make a living. 2%. Everyone else has to figure out what they're going to do to stay alive until the next job and to the next thing. And exactly as Ken said, you got to leave blood on the tracks. If you really want this, you've got to be willing to put blood on the tracks, your own blood, and maybe someone else's blood, figuratively, on the track to get there sometimes. That's the horrible truth of this business, because everybody wants a piece of that pie, man. Everybody does. Ken's my guest, so Ken is the focus here. We'll answer my question later about when I got into the industry.
Good. I remember when you started popping up. It was like, whoa, who's this guy? This guy's got pipes on him, man. But again, you had been working. You've been doing voice and stuff. You've been doing this, and it's changed. We have to remember it's changed. Now you can graduate high school and have a Twitch channel. Next thing you know, you're a broadcaster. I would still say I get a little grumpy. You're not. Broadcasting is a different kind of skill, different kind of thing. Hey guys, what's up? You say that, you're not a broadcaster. Get out. You're not. Start learning some other things. But beyond all that, my final bit of advice to anyone, John, before we move on, always remember you are not your job. You are not your job title. That is not your identity. And that works always. When I was the director of public safety and had a good job, but didn't want to be in it, that wasn't who I was. Just like if I have a great success, I wrote this cool podcast recently. That doesn't mean that's what I am or who I am. You know, find yourself. We are not these labels and titles. And I think that's the first path to success. Yeah. Is just find yourself first.
What you create is an extension of you. That is still you, though. You are still you. That's the most important thing. You know, that's the transition I had. I went through a lot of days of depression in January after I was let go, because I thought no one's going to want to listen to me now without a C stamped to the back of my ass to give me some validity. But the truth is, at the end of the day, I'm the same critic I was when I left than as I am now. I might even be better now because I have a different perspective on the whole thing, and I'm not beholden to a certain presentation that was inferred I had to give in certain ways. So in those are the struggles I had to come to. And now it's like the Outlaw Nation is who I am. The channel is an extension of who I am. It isn't who I am, but it is an extension of who I am. And it's a way to get to know me. And you're right, Ken, that is a very important distinction to make in your life as you get older. If you grab it when you're young, God bless you. But as you get older, it'll show itself to you and you'll understand, because if you tie yourself too much to that stuff, that's what leads to depression. That's what leads to mental health stuff overall, you know?
Great
stuff. Let's jump into super chats here real quick. One more. Larry Lee says, what was your favorite part of the Star Wars holiday special? We're definitely going to get into a little bit of Star Wars, but Ken, tease us with that one.
Look, I think officially the answer has to be the animated section with Boba Fett being introduced to the general public. I know he marched in a parade or whatever in like 78 or something.
Right.
I think that, but I really think the best thing is Chewie's dad jerking off. Itchy.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Nick Bascom next year goes, hey, John and Ken, you guys are awesome. Thanks for all the content. Schmoedown. I appreciate that. Very kind of you, Nick. Thank you so much for that super chat. And this one here is, what the heck, Ken? No beanie. You've changed, man. You've changed.
Zach, you know what? Let me tell you something. Zach is a great kid. Grace and I got him drunk at the award show 2 years ago and made him ride the bull at the Saddle Ranch. It was great. And he's a young guy learning stand-up out in Wisconsin, learning by doing it. I don't have the beanie. I wore this. Al Kaline passed away today. Great baseball player, 85. And this hat was sent to me by Lauren Romo, a supporter and listener of mine. She hosts a Star Wars podcast called the Galactic Podcast. A bunch of gals talking Star Wars. And she sent me this. So I'm a Yankee fan. I'm a Yankee fan, just like you, John.
Yep.
But I figured today, Kaline passing, good thing to just do.
That's awesome. We had a super chat that just came. A Streamlabs that just came in. Philly G. Love you both guys. R.I.P. Al Kaline. Hard to believe Kaline is still the youngest to win a batting title. Pretty incredible stuff there.
Yeah, he was like 20 or something, right?
Yeah, 20. Imagine that when he batted down on 20.
I could find that out. I'll find that out when we talk.
Okay. Jason Soto says, keep it up, Rocha. You kick ass at what you do, and I just want to thank you. I always look forward to watching your shows. Ken, you're awesome too. Oh, that's very kind.
I like that.
That's very sweet. And AK Torres, hi, John and Ken. Ken, I love your take on Luke on The Last Jedi. It is my favorite Star Wars movie. Where does it rank for both of you? Ken.
All right. Well, first of all, Al Kaline in 1955 batted .340, had 200 hits, led the league there too as well. And he was 20 years old, John.
20. Good God.
All right.
No steroids back then. Yeah, here we go. Yes.
Where's Last Jedi rank for me? I still think it ranks number 2 for me. Ranking is changes daily for me. But I definitely still think that some of the big themes that was presented in that movie, what they did with Luke, definitely keeps it at number 2 for me. There's definitely moments in it. The Canto Bite stuff, I would have gone a different direction for me, all that kind of stuff, but it's the big things for me,
Yeah. I will say this. I've always said this. The first 30, 45 minutes of the film, not my cup of tea. After that, it's maybe some of the greatest Star Wars I've ever seen in my entire life on screen. So that's the way I look at it. So it's somewhere in the middle area, 5 or 6 for me in terms of ranking. But the Luke stuff will always be a debate inside my head, whether I liked it or didn't like it. There are days that I love it and think, if I was that guy at that age, having gone through all the shit I went through, how much would I want to go back into this thing? And then the other part of me is, I still would have loved to see the Luke, be the heroic Luke from the beginning, training Rey, blah, blah, blah. But you can't disrespect the ballsiness of Rian Johnson to play it the way he played it, certainly against what people expected. And for a lot of people, like Ken, he pulled it off. You can't deny that. And so many people loving Knives Out. So you can't deny Rian Johnson's talent either. And even today, I think, or yesterday, thank you, Rian Johnson was trending on Twitter. So people have a lot of love for that guy as a director. One more super chat, and then we'll jump into people's live questions here on camera. Paige Chowdhury, my favorite day is getting a photo with both of y'all in Houston. Stay safe. Thank you, Paige. Appreciate that. It's very kind of her.
A lot of photos in Houston.
Yeah, Houston was the best. All right, let's bring in some live questions here. Thank you all so much. There's please keep sending in your Streamlabs and your Super Chats for Ken and I. And don't forget, please follow Ken at Ken Napzok. Please donate to his Patreon up there. This side, www.patreon.com/Ken Napzok. Go and give him some love. See all the tiers he's got. Support the man. He's doing some incredible work, and he deserves your love and respect. And I say, he doesn't have to say it. I say he deserves your financial support as well. Let's jump into this thing here. All right. Let me take my banner down so I can see everybody's name and everything like that. Where is it? Where's it? Hide it? Do I hide it? There it is. All these little things. What's up, man? How you doing? Drunken Prayer? What's going down?
Oh, sorry, man. I was muted there.
Yeah. You're on with Ken and I. What's going on?
Hey, Ken, just want to say, big fan since the movie fights days. Your drunken movie fights will still be one of the highlights of my life. The Brad Pitt joke, pitch perfect.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Anyway, I had a question. I think, John, you brought it up last week or the week before when you and Pharaoh were talking about Westerns.
Oh, yeah.
It got me thinking, as Westerns are a genre I really don't like or have never got into, apart from maybe Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. which is arguably not a Western.
It is a Western, but okay.
That's okay, fair deal.
Yeah.
I was wondering, for you and Kent, is there any genre that you two, either of you isn't really a fan of, but there is one movie that you really like from that particular genre?
Good question. Ken, you got an answer for this one?
Yeah, I hate the genre of movies. I like about 10 of them. No, I hate horror. I hate horror because I get scared. Me is a scaredy cat when it comes to horror. But I've gone through some, like, I don't know, again, there's different levels to what is horror or whatever, horror thrillers, whatever. Like, I don't like the slasher stuff. It just falls over me. I did like how finally Grace made me watch Halloween 2 years ago. I was like, oh, I get why this is good. So I don't know, man. Like, I love like The Mist, Stephen King's The Mist, and they redid it with Thomas Jane. I love that film. I think it's great. It gets me thinking. It freaks me out. The ending blows my mind. I'm scared all the way through it. Would I call that traditional horror? I don't. Mark Riley and Clark can talk about the horror genre better than I can. But that's an example that comes to mind. Like, I don't like being scared, but that was kind of fun.
I will say this: I'm with Ken. I'm not the biggest horror fan. By that I mean I don't just go see whatever. I'm very, very picky about the horror that I go see. Stuff like Hereditary or Midsommar or The Witch. Those are things that get me in the theater. But the standard horror stuff, I don't 100% get behind. That being said, Nightmare on Elm Street is one that I will defend with every last breath I've got in my body as an incredibly brilliant slasher film. It took that idea of the slasher film and actually made it intelligent, actually made it more than just women in panties or whatever, as you saw in most of the other slasher films. You had something more going behind it. And here's another one that you should put in the back of your mind, Reanimator. Reanimator is one not a lot of people talk about from the 80s. Jeffrey Combs, fantastic work in that film. Such a great, I think the director just passed away a week or two ago. That's another one that I really enjoyed from the horror genre that you would normally, that kind of cheesy B-movie, H.P. Lovecraft kind of horror. It totally works with Reanimators. Thanks for your question, man. It's good to see you, brother.
No problem. Thanks very much, guys.
Take care. All right, Andrew G., are you ready? Are you playing with a dog? What are you doing, Andrew G.? What are you doing? You working out?
I'm just working out, man. Finally got a dumbbell.
Look at that. That's great. That's great.
Finally got a dumbbell in Ottawa.
I can't buy a dumbbell anywhere. I've been trying to get those Bowflex. I can't find them anywhere, man.
I waited for an hour outside this place on Saturday, but it was such a nice day. I didn't give a fuck.
Yeah,
I was like, the sun, there's people over here. There's people down here in the line, and we're all talking to each other. It was great.
And you're like, are you getting a dumbbell? I'm getting a dumbbell. You getting a dumbbell? Yeah. I'm getting a dumbbell.
I kind of panicked once I got in there, though, and I was just like, oh, shit, I don't know what I want. But I made it all right.
What's your question for Ken, brother?
Well, Ken, it's nice to meet you, sort of. Been a big fan since I was watching all the Collider videos, the Jedi Council and stuff. So it's just when I heard you were coming on here, I was like, oh, shit, I got to get on and
awesome, man.
Say hey to Ken and see what's up.
Thank you, Andy.
I did not realize I was wearing my Star Wars t-shirt when I was coming on with Ken. It's like, shit.
Fine.
But my question, I guess, is related to Star Wars. During the quarantine, I've been reading a lot. I kind of read books like you watch TV, where I'll read some of this one, jump over here, you know, so I don't get bored or anything. But I've been going back and reading because of the High Republic stuff. It reminded me of when they did Shadows of the Empire, which I was probably like 10 or 11 at the time. So I have not revisited Shadows. So I've been reading Shadows of the Empire and Splinter of the Mind's Eye. And I was just wondering, I guess, what do you think of those? Did you and Rocha too? If you've ever read them or played the game or whatever, the comics, what do you think of those? Shadows, I guess, more than the other one, just because it kind of tells the story of between the original telling of the story between Empire and Jedi. Because I guess they're redoing all that stuff now in the comic books and stuff. Because this stuff's technically Legends, right? Yeah. Personally, I prefer the older Legend stuff than some of the new stuff they're doing, but I am looking forward to High Republic. So I guess, what do you think of Shadows of the Empire? Is that something you're very familiar with, or is that something you think would have been cool to see as a show, maybe if they went back and like recast everyone? Ken?
I didn't read it. I don't like Star Wars Legends. I pulled out of Star Wars Legends, or what's now Legends, about 95. The Zahn trilogy stuff's I have Zahn trilogy stuff, the Thrawn, the first one, Heir of the Empire, Dark Force Rising, Last Command, or whatever. Yeah, was great. It doesn't hold up for me. I've revisited it. It doesn't hold up for me as much. Shadows of the Empire, I think, was a great game. It was a great game. Dash Rendar, my least favorite creations in the history of everything. I just pulled out. I didn't like it. It wasn't. I think Star Wars, when it becomes more sci-fi, is not the Star Wars I enjoy. So I by Truce of Bakura and Courtship of Princess Leia, I stopped reading them, and I didn't take into. I just didn't. I did read first Bane book, which was different, was good, and intend to finish that series. And then Lucino's Darth Plagueis is great.
Yeah,
there's a lot of great things to be found in there. I didn't go into them.
Right
I remember going to Comic-Con and Splinter of the Mind's Eye. Alan Dean Foster was there at a desk by himself on the end of some comic book stand that they have there in those way to the left booths that they have there at Comic-Con in San Diego. And he was just sitting there in a small little desk, and he was signing copies of it for free. He was giving the book to people for free and signing it. And and I just went immediately back to the hotel room and read it again and just enjoyed the hell out of it. So I love Splinter of the Minds. I did not read the Shadows of the Empire trilogy or book series yet, but that is one I'll probably get around to at some point. But certainly that one, Splinter of the Mind's Eye, I liked it for so many reasons. That little story with Leia and Luke and what was going on between them. Yeah.
It's interesting because like the way they introduced the Kyber crystal, and then that ends up being something totally different. Like, now it's how they power the lightsabers, but in that book, it's just some kind of, it's like something Indiana Jones would be looking for,
Right. So you're telling me that they've changed things around for in mythology and retconning for a story? No, that doesn't sound like Star Wars at all, AGG.
It's what I think is cool about Splinter. I think it's a really fun book to read. It's a cool little adventure, but also the fact that it was originally supposed to be a sequel to the movie, but then they said no, and it was a hit. So then they ended up doing Empire, which was pretty cool. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Andrew.
What if things?
There's some sexual tension between Luke and Leia in that. So
it's weird. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little strange to read. Agreed. Thanks, Andrew. Glad you got your dumbbell, man. Good to see you. Take care, brother.
If you want to know what George Lucas felt about planning things out, that's a great example.
That's a good example. Brandon Buck, come on in. What's up, brother? How are you? Arizona Diamondbacks. Look at that. Respect.
Yeah, 2001. It's something that I can hold over both of you for all time. 2001.
The baseball was juiced. Please, everybody knows this.
They actually replayed that game on what was supposed to be opening day, so it was really great to watch that there. So
one of the rare Mariano mistakes. Yeah.
It's like his only mistake.
But have we talked to John about the story in that?
No. Let's break it down.
Read the book the last night. Hey, Brandon, by the way, we've met a few times now in Arizona. In the book by Buster Olney, The Last Night of the Yankee Dynasty. I think Buster wrote it.
I got to read that one.
2001. Before Game 7, Mariano Rivera, very spiritual guy, Christian guy, gathered the team together and prayed, which was not abnormal, but he was really weird and shaky, and everyone thought that he was acting really weird, and he didn't say, let's go win. He just said, let's go see what happens. Wow. And I'm paraphrasing. And so he blows the game and everything. One of their players, I don't know if it was Luis Sojo or Jose Vizcaíno, one of their players, if they had won, was due to get on a flight the next day, and because they lost, the flight changed. Something changed. That plane crashed. Everyone on board died.
What?
Oh
to this day, that you talk about it, it's like there was just, not that Mariano did it on purpose, but just like the weird spiritual connection to the moment for Mariano, who just was like, before the game, everyone was like, "That's weird." He's not he wasn't like not confident. He just was like, "Hey, we might lose tonight, guys." And it was just weird. There's just this weird thing. But also, I love that Diamondbacks team that year was lights out. It was a great team.
Oh, so good. Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling. That's not fair. That's not fair. So I heard you guys discussing the Jeff Passan article where basically they'd have all 30 teams here in Phoenix, actually.
Yeah.
You'd have Chase Field and all the spring training facilities no crowds, and then they said basically players would sit in every other seat in the stands, making sure they were 6 feet apart. And they would stay in some hotels around town, which also this morning, Major League Baseball actually came out with a press release saying that they've discussed options, but they haven't chosen one.
Right.
And I think they just want to be able to save the season somehow. They don't want to completely not have a season.
Yeah.
They're like, first of all, they've lost who knows how much money all these sports have lost.
Yeah.
Because these games not being played.
Well, they already said, I mean, the WWE was going to lose like 21, 30, $35 million, so like a lot. And the MLB is losing a lot per day that they don't play.
Yeah.
It's millions. So, they're desperate. And, Ken, I don't know how you feel about this. It's been a hell of an eye-opening experience to see how many businesses, how many leagues, how many entities are essentially have been living paycheck to paycheck themselves that we take for granted that could survive for years on a financial downturn, or at least we felt that they could survive for years on a financial downturn, are like freaking out and trying some way to make this stuff happen, games or businesses coming back.
It's the whole situation. That's what's eye-opening about it. I know several people have just lost their jobs, and the jobs are done. The companies are gone. They didn't last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Most of us Americans are living check to check, right? And this opens up bigger questions and whatever. But as far as baseball, like there's a lot of, some of the idea to bring games back goes beyond money in the sense of just service time. Do you want Mike Trout to lose this season in his prime? How does that affect the legacy of baseball? And all those kind of things go beyond. I'm not just talking about stats on the back of a card, but contracts. And there's a lot to consider why they might be doing something like this. So we'll see.
Yeah, you got to look at to me, you got to look at the soccer leagues, and you're seeing what's happening. And these are some of the richest leagues in the world. Mm-hmm. They're already like having conversations about forcing their players to take pay cuts for the season. And that's insane. That's how much money is being lost here, that they're wanting not to pay the players the money that they're owed, because they could sink the clubs. And the same thing with what's going on in the NBA. They're starting to force that, or starting to exercise that force majeure part of the CBA contract starting April 15th. The teams may not pay their players. And if that happens, you're going to have, talk about blood on the tracks, Ken. There will be blood on the basketball court. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, look at the minor leaguers. I mean, one of the final things I wrote for Flag Sports, it was about, people just assume the minor leaguers are making pro ball money.
They're
making $400 something.
Yeah. It's actually quite sad. I've seen a lot of players, like they'll be in the minors for 10, 12 years, and they have to get a job in the off season because they don't get paid for the off season, and they don't make enough during the season. But they have such a love and passion for the game. That's why they continue to play. But sometimes you got to think a little bit realistic here, and you got to be able to support maybe yourself. You got a wife, you got some kids. Yeah. So you gotta make the right choice. So I'm hoping we get a season, but I don't really like this idea of them all playing here with like no fans, because I don't think they're going to put the games on TV. What's the point in playing at that point?
Well, I mean, Riley just had Rachel Silvestrini, Brandon Hanna, and Alex Marzonia on his podcast, and fans were sending in messages going, "You're sending a bad example to kids that they can sit next to each other." And he had to clarify to people
they live
together. And so there was that issue with that. So imagine showing fans sitting just one seat away from each other, or 2 seats. It still feels way too close, because you're going to get crazy watching a game. You're going to spit and shout and do whatever, because it's the emotional part of the game, and that could float in the air, and anybody could get it who doesn't know they're asymptomatic and could pass it on. So it's very dangerous. But I hear your point. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate the question. I got to get to a bunch of other people. Respect. It's always good to see you.
You too.
Thanks, man.
Enjoy.
All right, Cutter Hale, you've been. Oh no, Jonathan. Oh no, sorry. Let me bring in Cutter Hale. Let me bring you out, Jonathan. Cutter, what's going on, man? What you got?
Yo, hey. Just wanted to.
Cutter, damn it, sit up, young man. If you're going to talk to Jim, that's right. Just sit up.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. So, also, I just wanted to say I am very huge fans, and also, I wanted to ask all the like mama movie theaters are shut. Y'all sit down, and seriously, I don't know what to be watching at this point. Do y'all have any recommendations for things that like I may not have seen? Like I just like watched like the two horrible bosses films for the first time, and I thought they were pretty funny, but also like I'm just trying to find things that I can watch during this time. So
Yeah.
Okay.
You got some recommendations for him, Ken? Some films or TV shows? Is that what you're trying to say, Cutter?
yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
You know, for me, I'm catching I mean, Grace and I, she's never seen Curb Your Enthusiasm, so we've come back to watch episode 1, season 1 on, and she's enjoying it. You know, it makes her cringe in the most wonderful way. I'm more of a TV show guy or a weird documentary guy. Cutter, why don't you try watching the Eagles documentary for Mark Ellis and I? Why don't you watch the ZZ Top one? There's a good, why don't you watch a documentary about the Beatles or Ken Burns doc? Watch baseball, watch The West, watch Civil War. That's what I go for. So I'm a little more boring. I'll do that.
Yeah. I echo those sentiments as well. There's so much on Netflix is jumping around that you can take a look at. The entire Matrix trilogy is on there. You want to go and revisit that in 4K UHD. They have it on there to kind of revisit. It kind of gives you a whole new appreciation of what the scope was that they were trying to go for in this trilogy. Yeah, did they succeed overall? No, but you can at least enjoy the visual choices they wanted to make and the areas they wanted to explore within their trilogy. They didn't quite get it done, but it's still a marvel to watch and appreciate even now, 20 years later, which is mind-blowing to think about. It's still incredible to see so much. And plus, if you go to award-winning movies, which they have down there on Netflix, that's a great way to train yourself to become an even stronger cinephile, is go through that list that they put out for you there and see how many of those you've watched. And if you haven't watched a lot of them, do yourself a favor and enjoy those films, because those are the foundation. You know, we talked about heels needing a foundation. Movie lovers have to have a foundation of the classics, I believe, in order to move on to understand what's going on nowadays, because so many of those classics influence the great filmmakers we see now.
Yep.
Thanks, Cutter. Always good to see you, man.
Yep.
Comes great.
You too.
Be well, dude. Love that guy. I had to make him sit up, though. I'm sorry. I had to make him sit up. He's addressing to elders, you know.
Yeah, Cutter was great in Houston, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Jonathan, you're going to round us out before we jump into some more. What's going on, my man?
Very good. Very good. Hello, Ken. I'm finally talking to you face to face.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while since SJU. I think I talked to you on SJU years ago.
Yeah. And I've been following you for Twitch, all that stuff right here for a long time. And by the way, I just want to give you a shout out to an article you did right here about our current champs of the Nationals right here. And I posted on my Facebook and on my Facebook page where my family saw it right here, and they really enjoyed the article you read.
Oh, thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Please let House Peck know I appreciate the support.
Thank you.
You had a question, Jonathan?
Well, it's sort of back to WrestleMania real quick, and I found some very interesting ideas to talk about the Fire Funhouse experience, though.
Okay.
And I found the themes of it behind it, though, and I find it very interesting for a person, for myself, not known as deep into wrestling, but I found the interesting stuff quite fascinating right here, though. Especially when you know Cena from the very beginning right here, and when he shows what happened, though.
Yeah.
He's basically sort of like the refusal to heal right here, though, and basically kind of taunt him right here what it could have been, though, and it's sort of like some examples right here that kind of cost him the utter respect for anyone else, though. I just find it quite fascinating right here, though, and more interesting they might give it a little credit for it, though.
No, I don't disagree with you. I thought when he came out in the NWO, I don't know if you saw this, Ken, but when he came out in the NWO, old school NWO, black and white, I lost my mind. I thought it was genius because I remember that being a small part of the possibility of him turning heel. He would go kind of the NWO route or shades of NWO. There were rumors he'd come back with the NWO. They'd convert him or whatever. And then, of course, he turned it down, didn't want to go that route. It had been done already by Hogan. Once a face that strong turns heel, if you're going to repeat the same thing, it's like going in and wearing 23 and playing for Chicago Bulls. You just can't do it again. You just can't do it again. It's been done already. It'd be tough, but I love that they touched on that. And there's so much. You got to give credit to both Cena and Bray Wyatt. I don't know how you feel about this, Ken, but both of them being willing to explore the areas of their careers that maybe weren't the easiest to explore and willing to lay it all out there on the table for fans to consume as an event. What did you think?
I thought it was a really compelling piece of performance art on both. I really enjoy Bray Wyatt and have for a while. I love the big transition from Husky Harris into this, right? I think that worked really well. And even wrestling, you got to keep adapting. If you want longevity, unless you have some sense of security. Cena's always had that sense of security. I for one, I think he's big game John to me too, or big match John. I think some of my favorite matches are his. Punk Cena in 2011, still one of the best matches I've ever witnessed. Like just the way it's feeling. So I think the decision to keep him face his entire career works. It worked for me. Worked for Sting. It worked for Ricky Steamboat. And John's done it on a higher level. So, but to explore some of that, I think John's kind of a wacky guy by all accounts. So it's kind of worked. It played into his ability to look at his career. I think he's always been, have a good even keel look at what he is. He knows his value, but he's also always going to work to be better. I thought that was, it was really interesting. It's a different feel than, of course, on the Undertaker Styles match, and it needed to be. And I think it really worked. And plus, it has Demon Vince going, "That's good shit." I mean, I'll take that all day.
I was so shocked. Thanks, Jonathan. Really appreciate it, man. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Take care, brother. Let's jump into a little bit of the Star Wars stuff. I want to make a little bit of a segue. I don't want to get too deep into it. I know there's a lot to discuss here with the High Republic coming and all this other stuff going down. Are you finding that the battles are starting to cease, or do you still sense that there's a little bit of anger? Because I thought after Mandalorian, we were starting to calm down a little bit. And then, of course, Rise of Skywalker popped up. But I still think with the Rebels and everything going on right now, not Rebels, I'm sorry, Clone Wars, it feels like we're kind of moving and transitioning. Do you sense that still, or is there still some fights to have in the fandom?
I mean, I never want to have these fights. I've pulled out of it. I've muted every Star Wars word on social media. I can't even, when Force Center tweets out, I have to go to the actual page. I can't find it on my feed. I have to go to the actual page. It just took my enjoyment away from a lot of things. It goes back to Game of Thrones too. That started turning where season 8.
Oh yeah, right.
Season 8 was like one of my favorite seasons, and loved it. And I just couldn't even forget being a pundit. I just couldn't enjoy it as a person. And I was like, what am I doing? Why do I care about all these tweets? So I muted them. That was the first one. After episode 2 or 3, I didn't see another. I still can't see Game of Thrones tweets. So there's still stuff to go on. It's always going to go on. It's fandom. There's some great stuff out there. The article that came out last week on IO9, it was a pretty good article with James Witt about canon. Obsession with canon is taking away our ability to appreciate these stories. And that's something we at Force Center believe. We have two kind of defining principles in how we talk about Star Wars. Joseph's big one is engage with the story presented to you. And then mine is Star Wars is not about how or what, it's about why. And if you approach it with that, it's just how we watch it. People watch how you want to watch it. And art is to be interpreted and taken different ways. I'm excited to put a lot of stuff behind me and excited to move forward. Mandalorian I'm rewatching Mandalorian this weekend and enjoying it. I liked the series, and I'm like liking it more, if that makes sense. Clone Wars is doing great, and I'm intrigued by the High Republic books. I don't think those will be the movies, but it's Star Wars is going to go on, and what a great thing! In 1983, I thought we were done. In 2005, I thought we were done. To have it back up and fully functional is a treat for me every day.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about the High Republic approach to this idea. And I kind of love this, Ken. We've been so obsessed with the villains, right? People loving Vader, people loving this Anakin Skywalker story. The Vader comic book is so incredible. Darth Plagueis, Darth Sidious, like so much of the villains have been played up. And the heroes at times, when you get past Luke and Leia and Han, the heroes at times get kind of lost in the mix. And I'm excited that we've swung so far in the pendulum that we swung all the way back around into the camp of the Jedi, where it feels like this High Republic will be about remembering why we love the Jedi, why the Jedi are good, why it's good to do good in the world, and that can be revered and be cool and charming and interesting as well, not just being the heel, so to speak, of the Star Wars universe.
Well, you said it right there. What we were just talking about, John Cena, the most hated men in wrestling, right? Who also is probably one of the best, and probably definitely belongs on the Mount Rushmore, not because of his work rate, because of what the stories he told, and what do we always want? And there's times where I'm like, oh yeah, heel John Cena would be good. It works. It worked for Hogan. Austin and Rock went back and forth, blah blah blah. There's no one way to do things. What the High Republic will do is show us the Jedi at their peak and what they're supposed to be. Lucas was really obsessed, wonderfully obsessed with taking the institutions we love and kind of showing some of the cracks in them. But his point wasn't that the Jedi were bad, just the organization was, and that's why that story feels directly into Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka Tano leaves the Jedi Order to kind of become herself, but she is she is a reflection of what the Jedi should be and of their ideals. And she's like, it's not what you believe that's wrong, it's how you're doing it that's wrong. So we've only really got to dance around that party. So to go back 200 years and see kind of a more fully functional Knights of the Round Table kind of Jedi thing, I'm intrigued. The only reason I'm not super, I'm interested. My favorite things of Star Wars are the rebellion against the Empire. They could announce another movie between Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, and I'd be all about it. And that's just me. I just that's what pulled me in more as a kid. Love the Jedi, love the lore, love the Sith stuff too. Like, I'm down for a good lightsaber fight, you know what I mean? But and it's so a key part of Star Wars. So I'm looking at the High Republic. I'm going, okay, you gotta. What do you got? And settling the galaxy. You talk about Westerns, settling the galaxy, frontier kind of style Jedi, with a rising threat. That's not the Sith. That's not. There could be some dark side stuff coming, but that these pirates are, okay, you got me, and it's going to be interesting. It's a big swing. We'll see where it hits.
Yeah, I want it to hit for sure. I mean, I think that's what it needs coming out of this trilogy. Look, they had to end this trilogy. They had to go back, bring everybody back. With Force Awakens, I feel like JJ wanted to bring us back into the feeling of the old school Star Wars. We had to finish out these stories. I always believed that Kathleen felt like we gotta figure out what to do with these sacred cows. We gotta kill them at one point, and then move on from it and build new structures, new legends, new mythologies, new characters for people to fall in love with and expand the universe. Latinos are showing up all of a sudden. Black characters are more prevalent in these new Star Wars shows, things of that nature. I love them. More women. I love that this is all happening because, hey, look around your actual world. There are plenty of people of color, of different genders, of different sexual preferences, of different looks, all in your world. So why wouldn't that be reflected in Star Wars and in the future? And so that's one of the reasons I'll defend Star Trek. The new Star Trek stuff, it's more expansive. Yes, are there story issues sometimes? Sure. But I like the fact that it's more expansive. It's taking chances. And hopefully the Jedi, this High Republic, will do the same thing.
I think it will. This has been in planning for a long time, and they really kicked up about 2 years ago, and great set of writers. And I'm not saying it won't ever transition to screen and TV or otherwise, but it's on the printing side, on the publishing side, and always has been. So I think it'll be good. A lot of people do talk about how some of the old Legends feels and everything like that, and then that might be something that they want. And so we'll see. But it really will be getting into the nature of the Force and what the light side is. And so I like that.
Definitely. We still have your super chats and Streamlabs open, everybody. We got another bit of half an hour, a little bit over half an hour left in the show before we wrap up with my man Ken Napzok. I'm sure he's got 10 other things to do after he's done. So I appreciate him taking the time to be here on the show and be with you all to talk about everything and anything. I want to ask you one question before we jump into a few more Streamlabs. Is there a fandom that people don't know you're a fan of? Is there a property or a franchise or something that you've found yourself getting into recently that people didn't know that you were a fan of?
It's a great question, John. I'll list things that I like, and I'll try to answer your question as best I can because nothing's popping in my mind. But so I've talked often about Robotech. I grew up with that. My favorite cinematic characters, Indiana Jones, a little bit different feel. It's not quite it's a franchise, but it's not quite a world, but it is a fandom. So I like that. I am a giant Lord of the Rings movie guy. Not so much the books, but that everyone knows about Game of Thrones. I love, I came in very late, but big Battlestar Galactica fan. Cause I also watched as a kid, but, love Battlestar. I thought that was great stuff. I'm trying to give you the answer because that's a great question.
No worries. I mean, has anime broken through with you at all? Has Harry Potter stuff? No, that's not.
No. See, the thing about Potter, I totally get it and respect it. Like totally get it. Like when I went to Harry Potter land, I was like, dig that. I dig this. This is great. I can get it. It's just, it hit me at a different time. Not saying you have to be of a certain age to find it, but like, my writing partner, Matt Key, just loves that world. Right. Grace loves that world. I get it. I wander around and get it. I thought I had one. I can't remember. Oh God.
Well, I will say this way, trying to remember one of my greatest days at Harry Potter Land was getting Grace's sister in there for them to go for the day. I think I got them the tickets and they went and they had a wonderful time being there. I had no idea that someone like Grace would be into the Harry Potter world. You're always surprised about who's into it and who is really like 100% devoted to it. And it moves them. It touches them from as a child, it touches that inner child of them and awakens it up within them. And that's what's been always so great to see the 2 years I was there.
Yeah, Grace loves Star Wars, but Lord of the Rings, and just the books, like she knows them. She could win a trivia contest hands down. Lord of the Rings. A lot of people don't realize about her, and she might have a secret, but Harry Potter as well. Yeah. So no, she talked about that day often, and to see, and I've got to see you do your magic back then. And but it's important stuff. It was John doing a job, but you're bringing that world to a little kid who does not know the difference, and you were really good at it. And
it was fun. Thank you.
Yeah. And not to be taken lightly. So no, I get that world. I get that a lot. God, oh my God, what were you? I've never thought about this. Baseball, it's like I can go through all that kind of stuff. I'm trying to think.
Well, maybe I should think. Let's ask you another question. How did the afternoons come about? Where did that come from? You and Makuga putting this thing together. This is a show that you've been doing for quite some time now. Mrs. Makuga has chimed in there every once in a while and been on the show and more consistently lately than before. How did this all come about? And what keeps you doing the show?
She's actually officially one of the co-hosts now, as of like 2 weeks ago. So the quick story about Josh and I, we knew each other. We met each other stand up in like 2009 or 2010. And I hosted a show that he was doing stand up on, and we didn't really meet. I just knew him, right? I knew his team. I actually kind of got to know another guy in his sketch troupe, Casual Mafia, this guy named Matt Doherty. That was a great guy. We could act. So I didn't know Josh other than name, right? And then through Schmoes, he started coming around. And then Josh and I told him to his face, and I told him on the show, in high school, Josh and I would not have been friends. This is a good-looking, popular guy with the girls, the troublemaker, the charismatic scoundrel.
Oh, yeah.
Quiet dude in the corner who's like, I'd like to talk to girls, but Josh is always there. And so when we met, that was kind of the dynamic. And then I did one of his old interview shows, the one when he was doing his show in his apartment, between the stuff. We just had a great chemistry. And it was kind of this play on popular jock, unpopular nerd. And it works now, and it works. So we did some shows. We had a lot of fun, and we just became more friends working together in the writers' room. Well, when we both got cut from Collider in January 2018, we got to do something, right? Necessity, mother invention. So we did start the afternoons. It was never. I remember we had these conversations. We said we will never make it a podcast. So it's sold as a radio show. We want to do a radio show. And it had more segments. It was more segmented and all that kind of stuff. And I had someone at iHeartRadio who was a fan who had he was very high up. And he's like, I think we can try to figure this out in studio. You can go over to our studios in LA, which is like 640 KFI is KFI 640 AM, all kind of stuff. And we're going that way. We were going that way. And then that guy lost his job. So we're like, oh, let's just do a podcast, and it just has worked. It's just one of those things, and we're gonna start doing it live now. And
nice.
We love to do the live shows, and then that's when Ellis started taking us on the road. We were co-hosting as kind of a live podcast before to bring him out for his comedy. And then it's evolved into he and I both doing stand up again. So yeah, and then Amanda, when Josh got the gig, Amanda had or Josh left, and I was like, what do I do? I was gonna. Ellis is like, look, and every once in a while, I got some naps to take. I was going to have a rotating list of people to bring in. And then I just thought, Amanda's on the show. She calls in. People know her. Amanda's the co-host. Let's do this. And it worked really well. So
that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm happy for everybody involved in that. I know it seems like it is rather a fun show. And I love the pictures. The pictures perfectly convey what show you're getting. It's just a well-designed show, brother.
Brian Ward. Thank you, brother. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. Yeah. So
yeah. Here's a super chat for you, Ken. Because you talked about TLJ, I went back and rewatched it, and I liked it more. Also, great hat. That's from Wish Williams right there.
Go Yankees. Go Yankees. Thanks, Wish. Look, I don't. Where people come down on these movies is fine by me. I don't like the come out of the theater tweet. You're 3 out of 5 stars, and that's it. I think a lot of these things, again, that's part of some of our jobs. That's different.
Right.
I think that bleeds over into fans too. And it's like, just take a moment, man. And what Scripture and I talk about, and this is Joseph is the leader of it, and you know how deep he is on some of the stuff. Engage with the story presented to you, and you'll find a lot of things there when you dig into, and not just Star Wars, a lot of things. It can apply to a lot of things. Just because let these creators tell their story. And then engage with the story that they've given to you, and then you'll maybe take a second look at things again.
Yeah,
or not.
I like that.
Or and life goes on.
At least give it a chance, and then you can go from there. Solskjaer 1999 donated. He said, "Gents, I love you both. Men of wise words and wisecracking abound." This is very true. A League of Their Own reboot. Who's on each of your casting list? Be excellent to each other, dudes. Interesting. A League of Their Own
is a TV show, right?
No. The League of Their Own. Isn't the League of Their Own the? Isn't that the?
I thought it was going to be a TV show. They are.
Yes, it was. I'm sorry. It was going to be TV. You're right. So who would you cast in this situation? If I was going to redo the movie or a TV show, interesting.
This is great. I don't have. I'd love to do the John Lovitz role. I think Marla Hooch could be played by Lauren Ash on Superstore. I think you could get who could be Madonna? Do we just go Gaga?
You have to go Gaga. There's no other option. I believe the Gaga's the way to go.
Could be that. Lori Petty and Gina Davis. You got to find.
It's tough.
Yeah. It's a tough dynamic. I guess the key is Tom Hanks, right?
Right.
Maybe, who do you cast as the retired drunk ball player? I think maybe Chris Hemsworth. Just give, maybe Ryan Reynolds. If we're going movie stars, I don't know. TV. That's a great question. I'm so bad at casting stuff.
I love it. I think I think Cranston would be funny as a really old school baseball guy, right? The crotchety old thing sliding in there, doing what he wanted to do. I think there's no way you can keep Brie Larson out of this thing. I think Brie Larson would be interesting to see as one of those characters. Certainly, Betty Spaghetti would be interesting. Who would you cast as Betty Spaghetti? Who's in that role? Who takes the Rosie O'Donnell role as well? Who does that? You run. So there's a lot to explore there. But I agree with you. It's got to start with the Tom Hanks and the Gina Davis roles. If you can't cast those correctly, then it'll flow out from there.
Really good. I'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, not easy to do for sure. All right, next Streamlab. It's from the Schmoedown. It says, "Yo, Outlaw, which one is your favorite Star Wars promotional poster?" Yeah, Ken, do you have a favorite Star Wars promotional photo or poster?
Yeah, it's Phantom Menace, the Shadow of Vader off of Jake Lloyd.
Oh, that's awesome. I'll take the original right behind you, brother, man.
Yeah.
That one, that's the one. That's the sexiest one for me. It's the most powerful one. And it feels like it's not going to be this. Yeah, it feels like it's not going to be this thing that's going to, cause fights. It's just a thing that's there.
See that is a signature from Alan Ladd Jr.
Wow.
20th Century Fox, who greenlit the picture.
Damn.
Yeah.
Nice. Now I'm even more jealous of Ken Napzok. That's for damn sure. Ruby X OG says, Ken, great hat choice. If I ever see you at a Detroit Schmoedown, I will buy you a drink. There you go.
Man, he's going to hate when I put on my Yankee hat for next week.
That's right. And drink to your heart's content. Zach Anderson wants to know, depending when and if the mob starts, what do you think they'll do? I'm sorry, the MLB. I guess he put mob, but he means the MLB. Yeah, right. I feel bad now.
The mob's trading players now? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, just so people know, he wrote, depending when and if the MLB starts, what do you think they'll do with the trade deadline?
Yeah, you're gonna these are the big questions. If it's a 52 game season, an 80 game season, an 80 game season, you'll have to find the appropriate time because teams are gonna need to.
Yeah.
They'd already changed it. This year it was July 31st, and used to in the old days used to do waiver trades after, and they got rid of that. It's gonna be the first season with that and the 26-man roster. So you'll see.
I think you can't have everything. It's like if you want whenever baseball comes back, that's it. Just be thankful that it came back. And if there's no trade deadline, there's no trade deadline for 1 year. It's okay. Just move on. Next year we'll be back to normal. I think you just have to, if it's coming back in any shape or form, don't try to shove everything in there because then it's all truncated anyway, and it shouldn't really count anyway, in my opinion. So that's my point of view. I'll probably get in trouble for that. Jake Iyer says, DH or no DH, go Mariners. Ooh, a very controversial decision. Did he shoot first or not? DH or no DH?
So I love the strategy of no DH, and I respect, its history. I love a good hitting pitcher. Ken Holtzman for the A's. They get a couple home runs in the 74 World Series. I love that.
Nice.
MLB The Show. I love kind of the strategy of no DH, but I love a good hitting pitcher. That said, I think I always go DH. I grew up with it. It was already established when I came of age. It has kept the careers going of Paul Molitor, Frank Thomas, Edgar Martinez, Chili Davis, a lot of people like that, who I think, we would have had to part ways with sooner than we needed to. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it. I think the baseball unions will make a push for it to be in the National League. It's another paying starting job, so I think you'll see it come to the NL. And by the way, I love the strategy. It's more the pure form of baseball. I get people not liking it, but it is what it is.
I don't disagree with you. I think my feeling about it is like anything else in life, you move on, you transition. Back then, pitchers could hit. Back then, that was expected of pitchers to be able to hit as well. So the idea of having no DH is just the standard thing. Now the game has advanced so far that having a DH, I think, allows for even more strategy, more situations, more storylines to develop, more exciting action overall. So that's the way I feel about it. It used to be hardcore, no DH way back for me in the 90s, and then eventually kind of came around on it, and I'm okay with it now. I'm because I agree with Ken, the fact that it's another paid position and the fact that we get to enjoy some of these players who've played the game right. We get to enjoy them just a little bit longer, and they get to hang on and maybe slide into that Hall of Fame because of the extra work or extra seasons they got under their belts as a result. So I love that.
I'm okay with it too. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to some live as we're wrapping up here. We've got about 20 minutes left here with Ken. Suge Knight has a question. Suge, what's going down, brother, man? Try to keep it clean for the kids, Suge. What's going on, man?
What's going on? How you guys doing today? Ken, it's so nice to talk to you for the first time. I've popped into your Twitch and said hello and asked you some funny baseball questions and stuff like that. So it's great to meet you. Just want to say new fan of yours. And you're super awesome. Just wanted to ask about some sports moments in your life that you guys have experienced. Mine personally was it was actually 2 times. Was actually watching Tiger win in extra holes the Masters, and then watching this recent actually waking up early to watch the Masters where he won again that nobody thought he was going to win. And so I just wanted to hear your guys' experience what's a good sports experience for you guys?
Was that last year's Masters? Because that was
last year's Masters, and then the one where he won in that where he hit it in the bunker. I actually watched it that day, and he hit it in the bunker, and then he hits that shot where it rolls up the hill and it rolls down, and he made it against I think DeMarco to beat him in the playoffs. So it was awesome moments.
And you're talking about things we've watched or seen in person.
Either or, something that really you cherish or something like that.
Yeah. Outside of like the big events, not counting bowls or something like that, those are always great, right? But in worlds, I was watching Kirk Gibson hit his home run in Game 1 of the '88 World Series.
Oh yeah!
Wow.
I had an A's hat on because I played for the A's in the Little League, and I was so upset. I threw my hat down and stormed out of my friend's house. So that a lot of things like that. I watched McGuire hit his 70th. Controversy aside, we were all caught up.
Oh yeah.
I have a less negative view of steroids as maybe other people do, but trying to think. John, step in here. Anything?
Oh yeah. Well, for me, it's Cal Ripken. Watching him break that Ironman streak. I mean,
God, that's a great one, John.
I remember because I grew up obviously in DC, Virginia area, so I knew the Orioles. I never was necessarily a fan of the Orioles, but I was never against the Orioles. But when Cal Ripken broke that streak, I was just blown away by that because, I mean, so many things have to go right to let you be able to break that streak. And I didn't care that they held on to make sure he did it. I didn't care about it at all. It meant so much. The other one that I would say is the Dwight Clark catch in the end zone against the Cowboys with the 49ers. I remember seeing that situation. I remember that happening, and that changed the course of two franchises forever. It showed that the Cowboys were beatable. They were America's team, but they would enter into the 80s, and until Jimmy Johnson came along, they would not be that strong of a team. But the number one memory, and nothing will ever beat that, is when we beat Dallas in 1981, 82, whatever it was, to go to the Super Bowl. We beat him in the NFC Championship, and I'm talking about Redskins, when we absolutely destroyed that Cowboys team. Dexter Manley knocking out Danny White, turning him unconscious. Gary Hoboboom coming in for like a quarter and scaring us, but then us taking care of business. I have never felt joy. No Super Bowl matched the joy I felt when we beat Dallas, because that team was the unbeatable team. And when we beat them that way, I just lost my mind overall. So that's what I would say.
That's awesome.
Great stuff. Yeah. I love it. Okay. I'm a Dolphin fan. I watched Marino's non-spike against the Jets.
That's an awesome moment too.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Shug. Appreciate the question, brother, man. Good seeing you.
No problem. It's good seeing you guys.
Take care. Yeah, sports is the best. I love sport. I miss it, dude. You miss are you withdrawing, man? Like, what's your feeling?
No, I'm not. I about 5-6 years ago stopped watching sports regularly.
Okay.
In fact, we were talking about when you invited me on Sports Time.
Yeah,
you invited me a few times, and I was like, I just don't watch. And I have that, an encyclopedic knowledge of baseball, but it stops after a certain time because I just didn't. I pay attention. I've been in a fantasy baseball league for 20 years with the same team and leagues and co-owners and everything. I just don't watch on a regular basis. And we did a playoff preview or something, or so we talked about some baseball news and sports time. A lot of fun. And then I got offered through Brad Gilmore to his friend Matt, who ran Flag Sports out of Houston. I started writing baseball for them. I got on the phone with Matt, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'd love to write baseball for you, but I just don't watch it." And he was like, "No problem. Be a fan." I was like, "Great, I can do that. Nostalgia, this and that. I can get melodramatic with my love of the sport." That's horse racing. So that's kind of grown, and then now I'm back into it. Now I'm doing a baseball feed, and I was like, "Oh, that's right. I loved this. This was my life." So I don't miss it yet because this was going to be the season that I was like back in it every day. Still happened. And football. Like, I'm a Dolphin fan. This is not a comment on the NFL because I know it's sometimes a linchpin for controversial things. I just stopped watching 5-6 years ago. When you're a Dolphin fan, you don't have a lot to root for. Wake me up when they get in the playoffs again.
I'm not going to disagree with him. I think you can fall in and out of love of sports all the time, depending on where you're at in your life. Certainly in the late 90s, early 2000s, it wasn't that important to me, and then slowly walked my way back into it. But I will say this, and speaking from my own personal point of view, getting to host that show at Collider was one of the greatest things I've ever done in my life, to be honest with you. I loved it like no one could really understand. It was, and that's when I realized, like, sports is where I love movies, I love TV, but sports is always going to be there and having to be an essential part of my life. That's why I do Game Time still every Monday here on the Outlaw Nation channel, because I have to keep that juice flowing. And Winston and Jay have been incredible as my new co-hosts on the show. They've been fantastic, but definitely, Ken, when the season comes back, I'd love to have you back on that show to talk about what's going on in the world of baseball for sure.
Absolutely, man. And it's also it's weird too, because the battle lines of, you know, nerd versus jock are still
right,
unfortunately. And it was my friend Tim Powers, who years ago was a comic book guy, but he's a St. Louis Cardinal fan. He's like, it's the same thing. It's the same battle. Whether you root for Batman or Derek Jeter, they're the same thing. They don't exist. They're wearing you'll never wear. It's all fantasy. And I agree with them. And I hate that if I see some of my kind of more nerd geekdom only fans do that. Oh, you like sports ball? I want to punch them in the nose. Like, don't shame my passion just because you growing up. It's not exactly that way.
It's not the same.
A lot of us who love both, because you can love both. You don't have to. But,
right.
You know, I can get in the weeds on Star Wars, and I can get in the weeds on the 1989 Yankees. You know, like.
Yeah, there's not enough time we should do a whole separate podcast or a whole separate show where we just talk about our Yankees memories. That would be a fun little one to do as well. Let's bring in some more live questions before we wrap up. Ken, please, if you don't mind. Wiley Todd, what's up, brother man? You want in on this thing? What's your question?
So, like I want to do, Ken, this is something I've been doing. This is what I did last show, but I feel like I need to do it again because I've been watching you for years. I met you twice, Ken, in the past.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how are you doing with this whole coronavirus thing, Ken? How is it affecting you? Rocha, I want to update a course from you. How are you doing with everything? And one extra part to it, because I ask everyone this, what's your thoughts on the greatest movie of all time, The Color of Money?
What was it he cut out? What?
Oh, his greatest movie of all time is The Color of Money, the Martin Scorsese film. That's what he thinks.
What's your thoughts about it?
Well, I'll start there. I have not seen it. So, what's the original one that's kind of the sequel of?
The Hustler.
Hustler. Yeah. I haven't seen that either. Just wanted to point out that I know that. So I don't know, John, if you have a Color of Money.
We've already gone over it a million times.
But I love Paul Newman, and I do love his salad dressing. Rest in peace, Mr. Newman. As far as the coronavirus, how is it affecting me? I've gone through, I don't know, different phases of it here where I always keep apprised of what's going on. And I'm not going to, I can't deny that when it first started popping up, I was like, yeah, sure. Swine flu, H1N1. Yeah. Okay. We'll get there, you know, but I come from a public safety background, a 17-year career. And it's like, you can't, you know, just because the last incident went one way doesn't mean you can think the next one's going to go that way. So I was panicking. But I had to do some traveling, and I did a show in Vegas with Ellis and everything. And then, the day after we left, Mandalay Bay and a lot of people where we were staying were like, yeah, we're shutting some stuff down. I was like, okay. And we had to go to Disneyland. It wasn't like we just woke up and we're like, let's go. We had like a pre-planned trip with some friends were taking me for an early birthday gift. And I was going to go to Galaxy's Edge. And I was like, I don't know. But we researched it as best we knew at the time. We're like, we'll be okay. Yeah. And I didn't get sick. Like normally I go to Vegas and I don't get sick. I get sick every time. I didn't get sick in Vegas because we were washing our hands, you know, so I was like, we'll be okay. And fortunately we think, but information started to change. And that's what I keep preaching is data changes, facts change, situations change. And I've been in command centers. I've been with police chiefs and fire captains and that information changed. And you have to address the change. And I thought some of it changed to enough where, you know, it's a concern, and I'm always going to err on the side of protecting humans. Yeah, I'm always going to go with that, and I'm always going to. I've been the person saying you can't cross this line because I have information that you don't, and I can't share that with you. But you just got to trust me, and it's hard to be the one to trust the person telling you, "Look, put on a mask, stay inside." So that's how I approach it overall. On an individual level, yeah, I'm a little stir crazy. Don't forget, you can go little walks. You could drive. You can just be careful. Right now, a couple weeks ago here in LA, everyone suddenly turned into a expert hiker, and the mayor of LA literally tweeted like, "All right, I guess we're gonna have to be a little tougher because y'all went out hiking." So that's how it's affected us financially. Lost some jobs. My mom and dad both lost their retirement jobs. We're trying to figure out what to do, but we just gotta take each day, each hour as it comes, and that's all I can.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. Lost some jobs as well that I was kind of angling for. Didn't happen. I'm glad the Quibi launched. We'll see what happens with Quibi, see if that takes off and where we'll find some jobs there if they open up. But overall, same thing. But what I've done is basically just focus on building this channel. So in a way, I'm kind of like shielded from everything that's going on because I'm trying to focus on building this thing up with all my efforts and all my passion. So that's been consuming me overall. But we go out. We go and take a walk at night from 8 to 9 or 7 to 8 so that we can stay somewhat in shape and keep our health up and stuff like that. We keep distance from people. There's not a lot of people out that night walking, so that helps us out. This morning, we went to El Segundo for an hour, got a little bit of breakfast, and then just drove around the beach town, just smelling the air again, that kind of stuff. So doing little things like that, I think, keeps me level, and I'm a natural homebody anyway. Trust me, I like to go out, I like to go do things, but I'm a natural homebody anyway. So if I can't, then I just need those little moments to go out of the house and do whatever. The only thing I'm missing is I can't find a set of dumbbells anywhere in this effing town, and it's driving me nuts. I just want a set of Bowflex Select Tech 552s so I can work this fat ass out once and for all and get in shape. It's driving me nuts. That's the only negative for me that I'm dealing with. So, but also what Ken said, like, there's stuff coming down the road, people losing their jobs, things of that nature. And that's what concerns me at this point is like, for now, I'm okay. 3 months down the road, I don't know what the situation is going to be.
Look, John, I have a fully functional gym in my garage. A treadmill, a trampoline, incline benches, bands, dumbbells. I got it all. $100 fully head to toe in plastic. You got it at $100 an hour, $200 an hour if you want to come in just your normal clothes.
That's a perfect. Done and done. It's what I pay Equinox or paid Equinox anyway. All right. Thanks, Wiley. Always good to see you. And thanks for manning the chat and manning everything going on today. I really appreciate it, brother, man.
No problem.
You're the best. Rick R., let's bring you in here. What's going on, my man?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Yes.
Been listening to you guys for a long time. Rocha, loving all the new content on your channel. Keep it up, man.
Thank you, Rick.
Ken, I've been listening to you for a long time. Wanted to say thank you for all the positive influence you put into the Star Wars community. And actually want to say thank you for introducing me to Rocha. The first time I ever saw Rocha was on Jedi Alliance back in the day, talking about Boba Fett and how he always thought he was Hispanic growing up, which is something I always thought of too, oddly enough. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Boba, there's a vowel.
Anyway, a question, kind of a silly one here. I was planning on going to Disneyland to see Star Wars Land or Galaxy's Edge during Celebration, but with Celebration most likely getting either delayed or canceled, that might get kind of squashed as of right now. But in kind of a positive light, what kind of ride would you want them to add to Galaxy's Edge? Because right now they only have, I believe, 2 rides with the Rise of Resistance or the Smuggler's Run. What kind of attraction or ride would you like them to add to Galaxy's Edge?
I think. Have you been there yet, John? I can't remember.
No, not yet. No, I know it's been crazy, so I was waiting, and then this hit, so I could.
Yeah, I mean, I literally went. I was on the train around Disneyland, the little choo-choo train there, and the tweets came out that Disney was shutting down in 2 days. Where I was like, maybe we shouldn't be here. And we left an hour later. But I did go to Galaxy's Edge. It was raining really hard that day. That kind of changed some of the enjoyment of it. Like, it was not like, it was like God is warning us. Smuggler's Run is great. But Rise of the Resistance is next level. It is something I've never experienced in a ride before. It is so good. It's so good. So they've got a lot there. But one more thing, because you're going to try to keep it within the era. I'd love to see some sort of, like, I love pod racing. You couldn't do it maybe unless it's like 2 people on each side. look at what they got in Radiator Springs, something like some kind of racing kind of ride. Excuse me. I would like something like that, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know what the rides are there specifically, so I can't tell the experience of it all. But I agree with Ken. I love the pod racing idea. I know with the Transformers ride 3D that they do at Universal Studios, that takes you through a whole thing, and you're feeling every bump, every move, every hit. It's jerking you around. It's messing with your mind. That kind of stuff I would love to see, and maybe Rise of the Resistance is that. But I mean, we've seen so many of these kind of visual things going on in these parks. So for me, I think something new and interesting would be an entire mission. What if the ride was 10 minutes long? Can you do a 10 minutes long ride? I'd be down with that.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, my idea was along the same lines as Ken with the pod racing kind of thing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shanghai Disneyland. They have a ride there. It's like a Tron roller coaster where instead of a car, you sit in the Tron bike. Yeah. And you go on this roller coaster. I was hoping for maybe something along those kind of lines where maybe you sit in a little pod racer car and it's like a roller coaster. It takes you through like maybe a track, maybe the Tatooine track in that time frame or whatever. It'd be really cool to see something like that.
That'd be badass. Absolutely. Thanks, Rick. Appreciate your question, brother.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
Good seeing you. Thanks. Ferris, you're our last live one. What's going on? Bring up yourself. Oh, geez. There you go.
Hey, what's going on, man?
John, you talk a lot of junk, John. You talk a lot of junk, man.
Yeah. You don't talk about junk. Look at that hair. Come on. Get it cut, son. All right.
Hey, anyway, man. It's quarantine, man. We're all struggling out here, John. I just had to finish an exam like about 30 minutes ago. Chill out. Relax.
You still in high school? Damn.
No, I'm in college, John.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Couldn't tell.
Yeah. Oh, you couldn't tell.
What's with the train, dude?
I live near the train tracks.
Right on. I bet you do, Ferris. All right. What's your question?
No, my question was was more about the baseball because growing up, baseball was the first sport I ever fell in love with. Because growing up in America, because I moved here when I was 6, and growing up I was like, oh, how do you be an American? Like, what is this? So then I was directed to baseball, and I liked baseball. I didn't have a team until 5th grade. I read Babe Ruth's biography. And that's how I was actually going to become a Red Sox fan because he was a Red Sox early on. And then they traded him for a bag of peanuts. And I was like, this is the dumbest franchise known to man. And then I became a Yankees fan. And I was like, and then I just fell in love with it. And with me,
somewhere Roxy just sat up in bed sweating and angry. Go ahead. Yes.
That's all right. Yeah. So my thing is that due to the fact that baseball was shut down, basically, and you guys were talking about Jeff Passan's article earlier with Brandon Buck. I don't see how is like you're just gonna overload a city with extra people, and like which hotel are you gonna choose? And like they were talking about some biosphere and stuff like that, and I was like, what the hell is going on here, man? Like, what is going on? Like, is it So I'm like, I'm just completely confused. Oh yeah, and Ken. I love your book, by the way.
There you go, brother.
I love your book, by the way. Yeah. Yes. And so I was just asking, like, you guys' thoughts on it, and just your thoughts again, because
I think there's no one answer right now, and I think again I'm gonna have to read the articles. I know it popped up today, and I didn't get a chance to read it, but. I think you need to look at a lot of solutions because again, there's so much money riding on it, but also careers, stats, major league eligibility, all those kind of bigger questions where they just might have to get to it, or maybe they don't. Again, it's bigger things in the world. If Mike Trout can't hit 40 more home runs, but I think all that's being asked. It seems like what everyone's describing. It's a lot. It's a little different. It's a little outside the box, but I think you're going to see they might have to do something outside the box just to get this going.
Yeah, it just feels that way and I agree with what Ken said. I think it's just a matter of they're just trying to explore every option, Ferris, and I think they're just trying everything and seeing what sticks. And eventually they'll make the move. But whatever they decide, they're going to have to jump over so many hoops. It isn't just, okay, we're doing this. It's like, okay, we're doing this. Now what? And how do we avoid getting anybody sick? And how do we avoid lawsuits? How do we avoid these situations? There's so much they have to factor into this. And I think that's why they're floating these trial balloons up to see what the fans' reaction to it is. And if the fans seem positive about it, then they go into the next phase of it or next level of it. But they're just kicking around a bunch of ideas, letting certain things leak out to see what the reaction is. But I don't think we're seeing sports I really would be surprised if we see sports by the end of the year, to be honest with you. I know the levels are starting to slowly come down, but the hospitalizations are up. So what does that mean? And is there a second wave? There's a rumor about the second wave of the coronavirus coming through. What's that going to do? So I think they're just desperate to do something, and they're just kicking around ideas and seeing what sticks, man.
Yeah, I just think it's a complete shit show. So it's like, we just got to relax for a minute. You got to chill out. Yeah, one last thing before, John kicks me out like he always does.
Ken's got, we got super chat streamers to run through before Ken goes.
I'm kidding. So Ken, I just like to thank you and Joseph Scrimshaw for being a positive voice in the Star Wars community, because growing up, I was a massive fan of the prequels, and like I saw a bunch of people like trash them and like throw them around, and I was like, oh man, these people are just negative assholes. So like I'm never gonna be them. And then like I found you two in this sphere, and I was like, oh, there's actually positive people here. And I would just like to thank you for that, man, and keep up the good work, and thank you.
As I say on Twitch, because I love saying your name wrong, Fair Smoothana. It's a great High Republic Jedi name.
That's how you say my name.
Yeah?
Yeah. Can you teach John how to say it too?
Okay.
I don't like to say his name. It's Muthana. I think it's Muthana. Thanks, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. And hashtag frequency.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. What you've done is incredible in revitalizing you and Scrimshaw, rising in love of the prequels and what have you. Ken, can we run through these real quick, Streamlabs Super Chat real quick, and before we send you out?
Whatever you need, man. I'm here to support
you. Thank you, man. So appreciate it. Michael T says, Ken is a huge Tribe fan. Seeing you wear that hat makes me happy, as my Indians are 57-17 against those Detroit Tigers.
That's true, Michael. That's true. And I also hate you for 1997 with the Yankees out. But hey, you know what? AL Central is a good division.
Was that the Mosquitoes game? Was that the Mosquitoes season?
Mosquito series, yeah. Jabba Chamberlain and those midges or whatever they were. Oh God, it just killed me.
I still think they let those out on purpose.
Wait. Was that? Yeah. No, I can't remember. No, maybe Jabba was a little bit later.
Yeah.
The 87 Indian team. That was Rivera blew a game. Yeah. No, I think the midges one was a little bit later. I can't.
Okay. It's all back there. Roberto Taylor, hi and good show. Ken, Lisa Hayes, or Minmay? What is this? What is this here?
Well, this is a Robotech question. So we'll run through this, Roberto. Of those choices, I've always been a Lisa Hayes guy. Love Lisa Hayes. Hey, who doesn't like a strong-willed redhead in control, right?
Truth.
So I like that. But
good plug.
But if we're going to talk about Robotech girls, and let's just have a Robotech girl conversation with respect. Lieutenant Marie Crystal, Lieutenant Nova Satori, and Miriam Sterling, which is who becomes Max Sterling's wife, and she's part of Andrade, wants to press lips with Max. That's how I learned to kiss, John. Those are like Lieutenant Marie Crystal and Lieutenant Nova Satori, who is like the security lieutenant in the second series.
Mm-hmm.
Little Kenny had some thoughts.
As he should. Thank you all for watching here. We got a couple Streamlabs to hit through, and then we'll escort Ken on out of here, because I know he's got a million things to do. Please hit that like button. If you haven't hit the like button, we have over 175 of you all in here. Please, we had almost 200 y'all in here. Please hit that like button. Get me as close to 200 as possible before we wrap this thing up in just a little bit. Ken, some last Streamlabs here. Raven, he donated. He said, oh, hey, hello from Palau. Hope you guys are doing well. To follow up on the question you asked Ken about properties people didn't know y'all loved, is there something like a movie, TV show, song, trend that you hated or disliked but now enjoy? Thanks. Ken.
Ooh, I mean, I used to hate the Spice Girls. I legitimately, seriously love the Spice Girls. I'm a big that was my answer, John. We hit on it.
Okay.
I don't think people realize how big of a music guy I am. I know I talk about being a rock radio DJ in the 90s and everything, but like I've done some Jay Williams on the Sight and Sound podcast. I've gone for hours and hours talking about music, what it means to me and everything. So in that, I didn't grow up a country fan. Certain kind, and then I slowly started to appreciate some of the artists that I like, who are country, rock, alt country, and all that kind of stuff. But then I went to Nashville. In 2008, and I walked around the city one night, and I was like, "I'll be damned, I like country," because that city. I don't know if you've ever been to Nashville, downtown Nashville. That's one of my favorite experiences, and I've been there twice now. And it's just like you walk around, you're like, "Oh, I get it." And you'd put on the outlaw hat, some spurs, and I think you'd get it too, John.
Yeah, absolutely. I love country. I mean, I grew up in Virginia, man. It was like you had no choice. You were surrounded by it. But
country ball.
I became an early adapter from it through John Denver, then into Johnny Cash, then into all the 80s country with Randy Travis, George Strait, and all the Judds, Reba McEntire. Like, that was my language all the way into the 90s. Went to a bunch of concerts in the 90s. Tim McGraw, I saw him during his first album tour. So I saw a bunch of people. It was so much fun, country music. But I think for me, it's I just had it. What was a recent thing? Maybe it's not a big one. I've always talked about Watchmen, how I came around on that movie because I love the director's cut. I don't like the original cut. I love the director's cut. I did not like that movie originally, but now I'm a fan of it. But the other thing is recently The Sinner. We just watched The Sinner the other day, just randomly. I've never been a big Jessica Biel fan, but that show was incredible. Her and Jeff Daniels. I think it is who it is. Yeah, just great stuff on that show. And I was impressed by that overall. And I didn't expect to like it because, like I said, I'm not her biggest fan. All right, Soulshar 1999 donated. He said, greatest underdog sports story. Mine's Leicester City winning the English Premier League title at 5,000-1. Crazy stuff finishing off with Bocelli singing Nessun Dorma with Claudio Ranieri at the King Power Stadium. Magic. Do you have a greatest sports underdog story, Ken Napzok?
I as far as one I've witnessed or been around for, I mean, there's a lot, right? A lot of teams, but I got to tell you, those 88 Dodgers, they weren't supposed to win. They weren't supposed to win. And that lineup with Gibson out Hershiser was pitching great, but they didn't have anything else. Leary, Belcher, they didn't have guys after Hershiser. And the A's were the Bash brothers. They were that Dave Stewart had found himself. Eckersley was unhittable. I think that was one of those, like, I cannot believe they won type of series that I saw.
Yeah. It's a tough thing to look at because I mean you go to North Carolina State, right, under Jim Valvano. Who saw that coming? That team winning it, or Villanova beating Georgetown. If you want to go all the way back to that kind of situation, even Butler making the final in the NCAA's, that was a greatest underdog sports story overall. It's tough.
You watch college. I don't really watch college sports, but I remember when it wasn't like the first time Gonzaga did something. It was like unbelievable. I just remember, like, even again, I'm not a college sports guy, but like I just remember, like, what is happening? Like, the junior high team just is winning. Like, I love that kind of.
The one they don't talk about enough, Ken, is the Giants. New York Giants as a wild card team entering into that playoffs, squeaking in, I think, at 9-7, going on the road and winning every game on the road, then shocking the Patriots with the helmet catch. That nobody talks about that, you know.
I was in because I hate the Patriots, obviously, as any good Christian man should. But I was at my friend's house, who was a Red Sox or a Red Sox Patriot guy from Boston, stand-up comic, and me and my friend Tom, who's a Giants fan, were pushed into another room to watch it, and we got like kicked out when they won. It was great.
It was the last Super Bowl my dad and I watched together before he passed from cancer. And I remember us watching it together, just enjoying the hell out of it. Couldn't believe it. Just couldn't believe what was happening and how it all came about. Just madness on so many levels. So I think that doesn't get enough love because it's Eli Manning and because you hear Plaxico Burress and all this. But that team squeaked in. All right. Andrew G said, Rocha, check out YouTube for some workout videos. There are a lot of body weight stuff you can do without any equipment, brother. I'm sure there is, but it's not going to build the muscles out. It'll tighten the muscles, but it won't build them out. I need to get out, son. That's the problem. And then one last super chat here from Jake Iacovetta. So Ken can say Muthana without ever meeting him, but has been butchering Iacovetta since Houston. Disrespectful.
You know what, Jake Yikivuka, it's like Napzok. People that P and the Z back to back just confuse people. And Vet, and I remember looking at Emma Fife one day when we were like going live, and I was just like, "How do you?" She goes, Iacovetta, and I went, Iacovetta. I don't know. I got to wrap my brain around it. I swear. Buy me a couple more drinks, Jake, next time when I'm in Houston, and we'll be all right.
Yeah, I don't fault you, man. It's a tough name to pronounce. It took me 3 weeks at least to get it right. Ferris, I don't get it right on purpose. Yeah, give some support to Ken on his Patreon there, www.patreon.com/Ken Napzok. And let's wrap up Ken, and I'll stay on for another half an hour talking with you all, but let's wrap up Ken. One last super chat here, Ferris Bethuna. Go Giants, Big Blue Wrecking Crew, suck it, John. All right, I respect that. All right, I'll take it. Ken, please tell everybody, thank you all. First of all, thanks so much for being on the show, my man, for the last 2 hours. Can't tell you how fun it is to catch up with you and talk with you about everything going on in the world. Please, I hope you had a good time.
I did. You always run a good show. You run a show, and I respect shows, John.
Thank you very much, man. It's very kind of you. Please pitch everything you're doing, everything you got going on so the fans can know.
Yeah. Easiest thing right now, just go to kennapzok.com. If you want to buy a signed copy of Why We Love Star Wars, I'm selling them directly out of my garage from there. Just takes a little bit of delay because of the mail, obviously, right now. You can go to that. Box Score Heroes will launch soon. You can follow us on Twitter at Box Score Heroes. You can just see all the other stuff I'm doing, like Force Center, Afternoons, Napzok Files, Casterly Talk, still talking the world of Ice and Fire, doing that also on YouTube, twitch.tv/Ken Napzok. I do want to plug a friend of ours thing, though, John, if I could. Back from the Future from Brad Gilmore. I have a copy here. The book coming out, I think, April 14th. Give Brad some support, too. Brad's a good cat. So yeah, that's coming out, too. That's it for me, man.
I'll promote him. I'll go right the other side right here. You guys got to pick this book up. It is on Amazon right now. Wherever you find books being sold, go and get this book, Why We Love Star Wars. You know, so much is going on in the world of fandom of Star Wars, so much of these battles and these people feeling overly sensitive or angry about situations. This book brings you back to loving Star Wars. The title is so perfect, so apt. And I think it's the right time for people to be reading a book like this to get them back in love with why they fell in love with the franchise to begin with, and remember its beginnings and enjoy its journey and what it's been on. So please give Ken Napzok some support and some love. Go get that, Why We Love Star Wars. He's an incredible writer, and I can't thank him enough for being on the show. Thank you, my man.
Thank you, sir.
We'll talk to you next time, Ken. Take care.
Bye.
All right, that was Ken Napzok doing his thing. Thank you all so much for joining here on the Outlaw Nation. I'm going to stick around about another half an hour before I jump off and head on over and hang out with my lady tonight. But I just wanted to say thank you all for giving Ken so much love and so much appreciation for all the work he does outside in his own world. I can't tell you how much I enjoy watching his stuff, reading his stuff, hearing his takes on the world and everything like that. Wiley, I'm going to bring you in here. What'd you think of this one, Wiley? Did you enjoy this show? Did you like the show with me and Ken?
Yes, I did, man. I got really into like everything, and I liked it. I liked it for that. You know, you get into everything, like every little thing, and that's what we want to know as fans. So it was a great episode. Just it is Outlaw Nation. You know, get down in the dirt. You know,
come on, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
Anything surprise you in hearing anything about Ken?
Well, yeah, I would say that because it's always been my favorite. I've never kept this a secret. The older people that I like you, that's not an insult, but just I find the most knowledge in. So like last night I did a interview with Robert Meyer Burnett, and they just kind of proved my my thought process on that. And then hearing Ken's story of kind of just going from, oh, I want to do this, and then step by step, and now he's teaching people, and the realization of coming to that point where that's where you want to go. And then that was very interesting. I did not know that. And that was very insightful. And I wanted to ask something about it, but I didn't want to be disrespectful. So I just kept my mouth shut. But it was very interesting.
Probably for the best, Wiley. Yeah, keep it down. I'm hanging out for another 15 minutes. If any of you want to ask any Streamlab questions, super chat questions, or maybe jump in and ask a video question, please feel free. Maybe I'll go a little bit past the 15 minutes. It's 8:15 now. Maybe I'll go to 8:45, something like that. But just want to leave it open to have conversation. Appreciate all you got. Over 160 y'all in here joining us. Got 169 likes. Thank you so much for getting me over that level. I appreciate it. So many people donated on the super chats. Can't thank you all enough, and on the Streamlab. So thank you very, very much. And thanks to everybody who popped in on here to talk and ask questions of Ken live. You know, it's real positive when people come on to the show and they get a lot of questions. They get a lot of love. They get a lot of appreciation from you all as fans, and it helps to bring other guests onto the show as well, because they see the responses. So go and tag them and as well on social media and tell them that you really enjoyed them on the Outlaw Nation show. I'll retweet those. I'll maybe retweet those with a comment as well, trying to push more and more people to be involved in the Outlaw Nation show and more people to come and enjoy being on the Outlaw Nation show. You know, tomorrow, I'm very excited to announce that I'm going to be interviewing Greg Nicotero tomorrow for the Outlaw Nation on the Deep Cut. He's going to be talking about Creepshow, his remake of Creepshow that's coming down here very soon, coming out very soon. I watched 4 of those episodes. Holy Mary, scary as hell, and I can't wait to talk to him about it, but also a little bit about Walking Dead, what have you. So here, if he gets positive responses, publicists look at that and they go, oh, the fan base here is pretty positive and pretty supportive. Doesn't mean you don't ask the tough questions. It just means, hey, you're involved in the situation and you get it done. So I appreciate that. Oh, Suge's coming in. Oh boy, I don't know. Should I bring Suge in, Wiley? I don't know.
Fine, he might start something. But by the way, guys, check out the latest episode of the Deep Cut. There's one up there right now. Very interesting topic about a new movie and a new actress coming up and everything. Definitely support that one so we can get more guests on the show. Rocha can get more jobs that way. That'll be very helpful and supportive.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Hermione Corfield. Hermione Corfield. She is on. I interviewed her for an hour about a week ago. They got the approval to put it up today. She's in this new film called Sea Fever. It's an Irish sci-fi horror film with Dougray Scott. Maybe some of you may remember from Mission Impossible 2. He was supposed to be Wolverine before he got hurt on that movie, or they went over schedule in that movie, and Hugh Jackman became Wolverine. And Connie Nielsen, of course, some of you know, who recently saw Wonder Woman. Connie Nielsen playing Wonder Woman's mom, Hippolyta, on that. So in the film, she's a scientist. That is Hermione Corfield is this Irish scientist. She gets on the ship and some weird stuff starts to happen when they venture into waters that they should not be in. It's incredibly interesting, a quiet 95-minute sci-fi horror film. But Hermione was great. She talked about her experiences on the film, her work on Mission Impossible. She worked with Tom Cruise, her work on XXX, The Return of Xander Cage, and also her work on The Last Jedi. She played Tally. She was the A-Wing pilot, Tally Listra, I think it is. Tally Listra. She talked about her experiences being on the set with Rian Johnson and being a part of Star Wars. She's still a young, up-and-coming actress, but incredibly intelligent, well-centered, had a lot to say about working on all those franchises and that film that she was promoting as well. So yes, it's up now on the Deep Cut. I'm going to promote it tomorrow. There was so much that was dropping today. I didn't think there was a window to drop it. I will definitely promote it tomorrow, but it's out for you to listen to now if you want to after this show. All right, Shug, what do you got?
Hey, how you doing, John?
Good, man.
I just you brought up Reanimator, and I just wanted to say something. Reanimator, actually, my mom's boyfriend actually helped work on that movie.
What?
Yeah. He actually I think he did the light of the original one, and he helped with the Broadway play, I believe they did. Yeah. So yeah, he was part of that. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But I didn't get to catch a lot of the backstage today, and I heard you talking about it. And I just wanted to get what's going on. Are we still stuck on the Pride thing, or is it a new thing, or what's going on?
No, it was. Yeah, backstage today was a little nuts. I mean, it was a little hairy. I think people are going stir crazy, and we're all just kind of chomping at the bit to go at each other. And today, everyone seemed to be on edge. The heel thing is a big deal. A lot of people talked about the heel thing. A lot of people talked about the Alba controversy that was going on. And so Andreyko came on to defend his position on it. Ben came on to defend his position on it. Andrew came on, and Andrew and I got into it a little bit because Andrew mistook me smiling about a text I got from a friend of mine about something not at all. And he goes, you can smile over there, Rocha, but I'm telling the truth. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, he just came at me. So I defended myself. And of course, when I defend myself, it's like full fire. So everyone thinks that I'm in the wrong when I defend myself. So, but there was a lot of, Ben and I were going, Ben called one of my comments asinine, or my interpretation of my analysis of the situation. So there was a lot going on that I think we were all just on edge, and Christian was riding it out, enjoying the drama. I think.
I can't wait till you guys get back in the studio. I can't wait. I cannot wait till you guys get back in the studio next to each other. It's going to be. I predict the Rocha tackling Guy. I think that would be hilarious. Might throw your hip out, but you know.
I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. I mean, I think that would be funny as hell, but I don't want to get too deep into a situation. I mean, that was a time and a place, and to be honest with you, I don't know if I could take hitting someone like that, and maybe I get worse of the wear in that situation.
Okay, so yeah, I didn't get to watch Backstage today, and I heard a lot of stuff, and then I've tried to watch a couple of clips that I saw. I did see the Andrew guy and you get into it, which was kind of funny because he talks. You were like, wait a minute, wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at something else.
Did you? Was I wrong on that, Suge? Like I was like, what are you? Why
your hands are down? Your hands are down. But in the camera, you just see you smiling. So he doesn't. I get where he's coming from, but then he took it to a level which was kind of funny, where he goes, "If you don't want me on, if I'm gonna be on the show and he's gonna disrespect," I started laughing. I go, that was hilarious. So okay, that's. I'm gonna have to check out the rest of Backstage today.
Yeah, tonight. Definitely. We went for a while, and then Smets and Kaiser came in, so there's a lot. There's a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh,
don't miss it, that's for sure. That's the interview I was talking about there on my deep cut Sea Fever with Hermione Corfield. That is the interview that is up there now for you to listen to. And Jake was very kind to do one promoting the Nicotero interview, which will be happening very soon. Look at that nice picture he got of me. That's very
beautiful.
Look at that. Well, I'll have to remind him that we chose this color scheme, not this color scheme.
Oh shit.
But he'll get it. He'll understand.
Hey, it's Top Gun colors, so it's beautiful.
It is, but it also, as Jake pointed out, matches game time a little too closely. So we went with more muted colors with the red and the blue and the silver of the white. But I'm sure Jake will make that correction because he hears me giving him shit now. So I'm in trouble now. I know that's for sure. All right, who else we got in here? Brandon is coming in. What's up, Brandon? What's going on, man?
Hey, Rocha. Big fan of yours.
Thank you.
Big fan of yours since the old Jedi Alliance days.
Oh, man, that's very kind of you. That's twice that's come up in this show.
Woo. Yes, and I know Wiley very well.
Oh,
how you doing, Brandon?
Hey, Wiley, good to see you.
Good to see you, man.
So, yeah, I've been a big Star Wars fan since before I can remember.
Okay.
So you and I have that in common, Rocha.
Yes, absolutely.
I remember the old, like the figure fights on Jedi Alliance. I watched that the other day. That's just what a trip down memory lane that is.
Yeah, that was the first show I did on Jedi Alliance. It was
like 2015, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean that was when I was still making myself, and people were very kind to me on their shows. I mean, I was a nobody. I just came into the sphere, and immediately people were very kind to ask me to be on their shows, and I had a great time being on their shows. That's where I met Mike Black. I had no idea about Black.
Mike Black is awesome.
Right? I had no idea what he knew about figures and stuff. I was like,
that's where I got to know Riley and Ken and Joseph. Really changed my attitude on the prequels a little bit.
a little bit.
I mean, I loved episode 1 and 3. Episode 2, yeah,
that's the standard.
Some of the romance is a little,
yeah. Well, I will say this. I'm going to start.
Joseph helped me to come to grips with my feelings.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I've been following you guys for a while. Now. So
very kind of you, Brett. Thank you so much, man. Thanks, dude. Did you have any last question? Or are we good?
Well, I'm just wondering, what is your favorite of the Star Wars films?
Oh, it'll always be Strikes Back.
Mine too. Mine too.
I will tell you this: Rogue One has slid into the 2 spot.
It's a good choice. It's a good choice.
I love Rogue One to pieces. I don't know what Ben Goddard was smoking the day he watched it, but for me, it is the second greatest Star Wars film ever made. New Hope, there are some holes storyline-wise that are really weird to connect, and Return of the Jedi, I just can't get past those damn Ewoks. I just can't. So for me, Rogue One, it's a more mature approach to Star Wars, and that's why I appreciate it. Just like Empire Strikes Back, a more mature approach to Star Wars.
Yeah,
things that
exactly.
I like Mandalorian. I gravitate.
Mandalorian was fantastic.
Right? So, can't wait for season 2.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm so excited.
Good to meet you, man. Thank you so much.
Frank, good to talk to you, John.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
Nice guy. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I've seen him in multiple Patreons and everything. It's
Yeah.
been amazing. And I think we had 2 new Patreons, if I'm not wrong, that joined right before the stream.
That's great.
I know of one. I know
Okay.
one that joined right before the stream.
Right.
Cool. But guys, join the Patreon. I beg you not, because there's a lot of Patreons out there, right? There's a ton. And Rocha's my guy here. I help him out and everything, and it's just what I like to do, okay, on my off time, especially during this Corona time. And he doesn't have a lot of Patreons, but that's the great thing about it right now. And right now is so you can join. He has these one-on-one conversations like me and him are doing right now, and it's off air. You guys can just have a conversation. It's amazing. But also, we have these hangouts. He started this new thing. So if you guys don't like to be on camera, fine. He'll have like maybe an hour conversation on Discord, and I had at least 3 people reach out to me. I'm not even in charge of it. It's all Rocha, but he's like, people are messaging me. Oh, that was a great time. I learned a lot of things, and it was people said that, and we had a video chat. So if you like to do the more video stuff, do that too. It's everything's here for you. I beg you not join, because some just leave you hot and dry as soon as you subscribe. You will get stuff out of this one. I promise. I'm just saying that.
That's kind of you, Wiley. Let's put the graphic up there that John Mariano made. Absolutely. These hangouts with me starting at the $7 per month on the Patreon. Join. You got Q&As, games, watch-alongs, and more overall there at www.patreon.com/John Rocha. Hanging with the Outlaw. That's going to be that. Those are my new Wednesdays now. I'm going to pretty much, I should announce that there is no mornings with the Outlaw on Wednesdays anymore. Wednesday mornings are now reserved for my Patreons. Those are going to be the verbal conversations on Discord for about an hour, just shooting the shit from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. to get you into SCN Live, just sitting around, just talking about whatever you want to talk about, hanging out. So there's no pressure or anything like that. Just hanging out, chilling out. And you'll get a different John Rocha than the John Rocha who's hosting the show. You'll get a more relaxed Outlaw, relaxed John Rocha. And then on Thursday nights from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. PT, we do, I think it's 6 p.m. Is that right, Wiley, or is it 5 p.m.?
Whatever you choose. The last time we did was 6 o'clock. Yeah. But he got in there early, guys, so you can go in. It's crazy. It's a lot of insight as well, because not to overspeak you, John, but I've personally talked to Rocha and everything, and I've learned a lot that just behind the scenes stuff, and that's like the stuff that's more interesting about the person than just the content. Of course, you hear him talking about movies all the time. Personally, for me, what I gain out of these Patreons is knowing the people personally. So if you're really into that, I would also encourage that too, and join these chats, because people, like I said, they messaged me. It was crazy. I've never had that happen before through Patreons and everything. It was just it's great.
Oh man, my patrons, I spilled the tea, and I got no problem spilling the tea on those patrons, because you guys are paying, and you get a certain kind of perk for that. And if you guys want to ask me anything about the Schmoedown, anything behind the scenes stuff, any of that, I will be honest with you. As much as I can tell you, I will tell you. I do respect other people's privacy on certain things, but for the most part, I will tell you my opinions on certain situations and what have you. So I got no problem with, like today, the backstage getting all weird and wonky. I don't know why Andrew got so upset initially, and I pushed back. Maybe I pushed back a little too hard, so kind of caused a little bit of an issue. But then Ben coming at me like, I didn't understand with the reactions to this. I think it's just a matter of like, people have just different points of views on certain things. And it's okay to have different points of views. I don't know why that's such a big deal, but I think Ben's a little sensitive about his studying things, a little sensitive about the criticism. I think he's upset about having lost the belt, so maybe that kind of grates on him a little bit. I don't know, but either way, I respect Ben madly. I respect him greatly, but he's not devoid of criticism, for God's sakes. No one is. Welcome to the real life, so I think maybe he took a little too hard. All right, I got a couple of Streamlabs that rolled through here after Ken had left. It was from Solskjaer 1999. He said, any chance of another top 10/Cinephiles merger? Maybe Steve makes an appearance on Top 10, Matt making another appearance on Cinephiles, or just a simple get-together for a chat. Really enjoyed the live stream with Steve. Yeah, those are the things that we're working on the Cinephiles. Steve and I want to do a live stream every month. I think Steve wanted to go a little bit towards the political side of things, and I said, we're not a political podcast. We're a movies podcast, so we get into political stuff on the podcast when it relates to the movie. But if it doesn't relate to the movie, I don't want just to have a flat-out live stream podcast connected to the Cinephiles that's only political. So those are the things. So we're hammering out what a live stream is going to be every month from the Cinephiles, because you guys responded so positively to it. We're just working that out right now. And Matt being on the Cinephiles is certainly a possibility down the road. Matt's just kind of busy with a lot of things, and certainly coronavirus stuff kind of puts us in a situation where we can't necessarily be in the same room. So we've kind of shied away from having guests on the Cinephile because Steve and I already talk over each other when we do the show. If we put a third guest on, and I mean on StreamYards, I don't mean in person. I mean in StreamYards, it'll be even more of an issue. So we're trying to shy away from guests for the time being until we get this back up and running again and humming like it was before. So thanks for your question, Soulshine99. That's certainly going to happen just down the road. Jim Sandelin donated. He said, John, my favorite sports moment was when the Saints came back to the Super Bowl after Hurricane Katrina. Absolutely. It came to the Superdome, rather, after Hurricane Katrina. U2 and Green Day opening with a concert. Then Steve Gleason blocking the punt. Very emotional. Hashtag NOLA. I'm not going to deny that. That was an incredible night. And then having those Saints go on and win the Super Bowl was also phenomenal. Beating Peyton Manning and those Colts. No one was going to beat the Saints that year. They were not going to be denied from that Super Bowl. So great memories, Jim. I appreciate you sending the Streamlabs in. Thank you so much for the support of the Outlaw Nation show. While he's sticking on, I'm going to stick you on here. We got this guy. I don't know if I should bring him on, but he's available or not available. No, doesn't seem like he's not available. Saul messed up again. Jesus, what's the point?
Oh,
hey,
Saul, come on.
Oh, man. I know. Saul wants to be on, and he messes up every time. What's up, Jay?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Very good.
Good. How are you?
Not much. I don't have a favorite sports memory in terms of like I'll take to my urn. There's so many, and life's not over yet. We got a long way to go. The Indians are going to win. When I own them, they're going to win 50 in a row. And, when I own the St. Louis Stallions in the NFL, they're going to win 20 Super Bowls in a row. You're going to hate me. I'm going to be the most hated man in America, and I'm not even the president.
Boom. There, he took the shot. Jay set it up, and he took the shot. What's your question, man? Do you have a question?
Yeah. In your mind, what was the worst year in cinema? Mine is 2000.
Wow. Good question.
The year I was born? How dare you, J-Dog?
Oh.
Well, Wiley, if you look at the box office figures from 2000, there's not a lot there that you can say, wow. In fact, this year was the worst box office up until this point since 2000.
Okay. A lot of people say 2009 was one of the worst years in cinema. The top.
I mean, you had Avatar.
It's Avatar, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Hey,
Ice Age, Dawn of the Dinosaurs, Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, 2012, Up, Sherlock Holmes, Angels and Demons, and The Hangover. We just did today, right? Today's Tuesday. We dropped the newest episode of the top 10, and ironically, it's the top 10 films of 2009. No lie. We did a randomizer. 2009 came up, and we just did the top 10 films of 2009. There's more there that wasn't nominated, that wasn't on, up for awards in 2009 that are more worthy to talk about than the films that were nominated for sure. What year was 97? Is 97 work for anybody?
Titanic was the highest grossing film at the time, so I mean, you had that. You had Jurassic Park: The Lost World. You had Con Air. You had Air Force One. Get off my plane.
Right. Batman and Robin was 97 too, and Spawn. Those
Next
are not
question. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say when you mentioned Batman and Robin, I was like, no, move on. That movie never happened. It never happened. It's all a dream. It never happened.
Awesome. Thanks, Jay. I appreciate it, man. It's always good to see you, brother, man.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
You too. It's always great when Jay calls in. He's always got fun things to say.
I love how so many new people joined today. We got like at least 4 new people too. That was amazing as well.
Yeah, who subscribed to the channel, you mean?
Like they joined the stream.
Yeah,
that for sure. We got some new patrons. We had a lot of Streamlabs too. Like today's been a great day for sure. A lot of success for the channel.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, that's what makes bringing someone like Ken Napzok in essential to the show, because you get great conversations with them and you all get to have access to their points of views on things. And I try to do an unconventional show that is somewhat conventional as well. Like it's streamlined. We got Streamlabs, we got super chats, we got things we want to get to, but it also flows within the questions, within the answers of the questions, what we go on to next. And I always appreciate that. And Ken's just a uber professional about those kinds of things. So I love it. All right. What else we got going on? Any other comments here in the chat that I maybe want to address? Oh, here we go. I wish he wouldn't have fans on. Honestly, the same people makes the show too much the same. Love Rocha himself and maybe a guest he knows personally, but seeing the same 4 fans on is monotonous. But it's not the same 4 fans the ones that look. I respect your point of view. I totally respect it. But the Outlaw Nation is the nation, son. It is the nation. And I like to communicate and connect with all the fans who are willing to come on and talk and be on camera and ask a question. If that bothers you, sorry, pal, this is the show. I'm not changing that. The only reason I brought this back was to be able to connect with the fans more and have more conversations with them in person. That's who I am as a person, and that's what I like it. And ooh, what a surprise. Schmoedown Backstage announced today. What are they doing? Oh, Christian's going to bring on the patrons live onto the show. Oh, I wonder who was doing that first. So it's just fascinating how that all works out.
Who was giving you shit for doing it?
Yeah, exactly right. Who was questioning? That's right, Christian.
So once in the future, honestly, man, we understand your statement, but honestly, try to join the show. Give it a shot because you'll have the time of your life. Because I can see how people can get annoying after seeing the thing. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it more easier for more people to join because I know it can get really hard to navigate the internet in general, and it's my job and Sugar Knight's job and all the moderators to help that process become a lot easier. So once upon in the future, try to come on the show. Don't just knock it till you try it. Just it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. I mean, that's the thing that I made sure when I brought this back, because I mean, Outlaw Nation in the past, when it was just the podcast that I was doing, driving to work in the morning with the microphone in my mouth, talking about stuff. It was about whatever's going on in my world and the mental health stuff and doing the shows. But I swore that if I brought the Outlaw Nation back to be on the Outlaw Nation show onto the Outlaw Nation channel, it would be more about communicating with the fans, connecting with the fans, talking about real life, talking about shit that's going on in your worlds, not just shit that's going on in my guests' worlds. And I think that was important. And have you all have access to people that you wouldn't normally have access to and ask them questions about things and whatever. So, I mean, I think that's the overall positive for me, in my personal opinion. Brennan says it's a great show. Thank you, Brennan. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you.
I remember the days on Facebook when they first started the Outlaw Nation Facebook and all that.
Yep.
I remember it was just me and 50 other people, and we used to have conversations on there and just get excited for your shows. Those from that to now is just crazy to me. It's crazy that everyone since Collider and everything. And honestly, I know it's a bad situation, but I think it's a lot better, because like you said, you're not in those boundaries anymore and you get to do what you want. It might be daunting at first, but I feel like you're rolling, John. I think you're doing a really, really good job. And there's something here that we just got to hit that nail on the head and we're good.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, that's kind of how I look at things. Oop, I put up the wrong thing. That's kind of how I look at things as well, is that I'm working harder at trying to make these shows even cleaner. Look, that background in the back, that was something we came up with just a few minutes before the show started because I saw it on Schmoedown Backstage. And I was like, oh, I didn't know you could do that in StreamYards. And then we tried a couple of other backgrounds and boom, we got this one. And maybe I'll get Brian Ward to send me one with just the Outlaw Nation in the back without my face and without hosted by John Rocha. So people have that as a brand in the background, things of that nature. So the goal of this channel and the goal of everything I do is to make these shows as professional looking as possible, but within the professionalism, a more laid back, relaxed approach to things so that people don't take it too seriously, don't get too crazy about it, and they're able to adapt and enjoy the situation and have fun watching the shows and have fun with the subjects that are brought up. Oh boy. All right, here we go. I don't know if it's going to work. He keeps messing with his camera.
That always insults me.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. We might be messing this up overall. All right. So what do you got? You son of a bitch. What do you got?
Oh, your mic's not working. You can't talk trash.
Oh, your mic's not working. Oh, Jesus, Saul.
Click it.
Come on, guy.
Come on, Saul. Come on, Saul. You need to go to the microphone and make sure it's connected. Go to settings.
You go to settings, go to output, and hit the microphone. The microphone there for your, or select the Apple headphones. Nope, nothing. Jesus, Saul.
Get off your iPad and use your phone or something. And then
if you could hang the flag, I think you could figure out this. Come on, guy. Come on. Oh, it's killing me. Quarantine Saul. I love it. Quarantine Saul. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. One more time. What do you know? I tell you what, give me a thumbs up when you figure it out, Saul. Give me a thumbs up when you figure it out. I'll bring you on the show. I want to talk to you. People think I'm ducking it. I'm not ducking Saul. I want to talk to him. I just want to
tell you what, he talks major crap. And people are talking major crap on me in the chat. They don't think I'm 20. I am 20. I am 20. Rocha said I'm 17. And then now I'm actually 20.
It's my fault. I keep calling you 17. This almost worse than Chandro on Backstage today. LOL.
I think Saul takes the cake for that one, though. At least Chandro actually got it working at one point.
He did eventually get it working. Yeah. I'm more into Schmoedown. It's a hard time watching just Christian and Brett. I miss the in-studio people. Oh, trust me, I miss being a part of SCN Live as well, Jeremy. I loved hosting the Monday shows. That was something that I was so looking forward to every Monday and enjoying the living hell out of. And the fact that I can't do it anymore for now until we come back from the coronavirus has been one of the holes in my life. Because I'm telling you, Christian was incredibly kind after I was let go from Collider. That day, I called Christian or texted Christian. I said, hey, man, this just happened. I can't believe it just happened. I'm in shock. I don't know what to do. Didn't expect this. Why didn't they do it before we went on our break so that we would understand what was happening? And he's like, dude, come on. I got a spot for you if you want to come down to SCN Live today and come hang out. And I hung out for 4 hours that day. And Christian was, because I rolled right into Backstage. Christian was incredibly kind to open the doors to me. And then from that point forward, he brought me on as a regular on SCN and then asked me to host the Mondays when he couldn't do them. I think I hosted this Monday straight for a while, but it was never like, oh, Rocha's the host on Mondays. It was more like if I've got meetings or whatever, and it just happened to work out multiple weeks in a row that I was there, and I was enjoying it. I love working with Kate, love working with Brett, love working with everybody. Ben Goddard is great. RB3 was great. Whenever we brought in the guests were great. So all of it is SCN Live was so much fun. And it's definitely a hole in my life because that was a show that we all enjoyed doing. And people got it and loved it, and we didn't get stupid criticism about it, and we certainly didn't get a dumbass tweet that a certain somebody sent insulting it. So that was overall what a great situation for us. All right, Saul, I'm gonna give you one last chance, Saul. You're messing up my show. You're messing up my show, Saul. All right, what do you got?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Woo! I think first of all, I don't even believe you. I think you were just fucking with me, so I could just leave.
We couldn't hear you. Now we can. Okay.
That makes for bad radio, dude. Come on.
Yeah.
Rocha does that trick where I wait in the waiting room for 20 minutes, and then as soon as I give up, he goes, "Oh, Saul, I was going to click on you," but every week he does that.
You're my Matt Damon. You're my Matt. Oh, we got to push you. Sorry, we can't bring you out.
Yeah, that's real adorable.
What's up,
John? Shoot straight with me, all right?
Yeah,
there
sure.
seems to be
because I lie. Go ahead. Yeah, tell me.
Well, you know, it's up and down with you. You never know. What is the real issue with the heel epidemic of 2020 in the Schmoedown?
Tell me. Be specific, and I'll answer. What do you mean the heel epidemic?
It doesn't. To me, the whole heel face dynamic is not very complicated. It couldn't be less complicated, actually. But it appears that is people not? Is Chandru afraid to be a heel because he's afraid of not being liked, kind of? And maybe we saw this last week with I'm a little confused where my teammates were going with certain things last week. I don't want to air out dirty laundry or anything, but I was just a little confused.
You mean the den? Okay. Well, here's what I'll tell you, Saul. With Chandru, either Chandru is playing one of the most brilliant mind games we've ever seen any Schmoedown competitor play, in the fact that he is playing both face and heel at the same time and claiming that he doesn't know which to be, which honestly, if he's doing that, he deserves a Schmoey or whatever the award is at the end of the year that you get a Schmoedown award. He deserves it like crazy because I've never seen anyone come in and completely flabbergast so many people because they can't figure out where the hell he is or what side of the fence he's on. Or the other side of it is that he's just kind of one of these kids that can't figure out what side of the fence he's on, because he's absolutely a heel in his responses to things and the things he says. I mean, him goading Brandon in that match the way he did, it reminds me of Major League. Remember in the early parts of Major League when Willie Mays Hayes tries to slide into that base and he doesn't make it, and the guy goes, "Come on, you're close." It's basically what he did to him, which was insulting him and talking crap to Brandon Hanna, and he turned Brandon Hanna into roadkill. And so you look at that situation, go ahead and embrace it. But is he really caught up with being liked? I don't know. I don't know what to believe with Chandru. So I'm just kind of sitting back as a fan and watching it all play out. But as for Ben and Rachel, and I talked to Rachel before I started Outlaw Nation today. Actually, she called me for like 10 minutes to talk about it because she's still kind of figuring this out. I said to her straight up, and I agree with you, Saul, it seems pretty simple to me. If you're going to be a heel, that means you're a bad guy or a bad girl. If you're a bad guy or a bad girl, you're going to get the negative comments in the YouTube, online, everywhere you go. If you're going to look at the comments, you're going to see negative comments. You got to ask yourself, if I'm going to be heel in the Schmoedown, do I have the inner strength and the thick skin to deal with it? Because if you don't do it. Because people say the worst shit to you possible because they think they're playing along with the game. And if you can't handle it, don't do it.
Well, I mean, they are playing along with the game. If they're not saying anything, that's the nightmare.
Right.
If they're saying "fuck this guy," to me, that's like, all right, I got it. I'm on base. That's exactly what. And it seems to be a reoccurring theme this season. And to me, it just I don't know. I was interested in what your take was, being an old wrestling fan and a Schmoedown competitor.
Mm-hmm.
It to me, it seems like. First of all, I'm shocked that Chandru thinks he's a face. I thought that whole thing was a bit. I thought the whole thing was like Kurt Angle 2000 sort of.
Right. I saw your comment. That's why I mentioned it in the backstage today.
Yeah.
It was a good comment.
So I'm finding out today he really believes this bullshit is unbelievable to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, the whole fucking world's on fire. So I guess why not the Schmoedown too? But all right, John. Well, listen, I think this went well. You did okay.
Thank you, Saul. I appreciate it.
All right. And Wiley, watch your tone. I don't appreciate it. And thanks for your time, Outlaw. Talk to you soon.
Wait. Is that a Norway or Denmark? What is that behind? What's the flag behind you?
That is the flag of Iceland.
Iceland. Oh, okay. My bad. Did not just see, have you seen Valhalla Murders on Netflix? That's an Icelandic show. It's fantastic.
I have not. All right, you're gonna fucking goof on this, but
Jesus.
I've been learning Icelandic for years now, and what I do is I don't watch a lot of English translations of Icelandic TV. I watch it in Icelandic because that's I'm very mediocre at it. I can maybe order a cup of coffee, but so I haven't watched that. But it's in English?
No, it's all in Icelandic. It's all with subtitles.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
it's badass, dude. You got to watch it.
I will check it out.
All right. Respect to you, Saul. Thanks for popping in, brother. Good to see you.
Bye, John.
Take care. See, we ball bust, but we boys. That's how it works. We East Coast boys. That's how it rolls. We ball bust, but we boys. We dogs. All right. I got to wrap this thing up, right? I got to see my girlfriend. I'm in some trouble now. I already went 30 minutes over this thing. I'm going to get my ass chewed out. So thank you to everybody who joined me here on the Outlaw Nation show. And big thanks to Ken Napzok as well. Please follow Ken Napzok on everything he does. Follow every platform. Subscribe to every podcast and give him some love on his Patreon. Support him like crazy. He deserves it. One of my favorite people on the planet Earth right there. Ken Napzok right there at Ken Napzok. Follow him right up top. See the patreon.com/Ken Napzok. Give him some love there, for God's sakes. Please do it, my friends. And please tag him as well, and tell him how much you enjoyed him on the show. I'm sure he'd appreciate that, and retweet it as well. Thanks to all my moderators in here. Thank you so much to Wiley Todd. Definitely thank you, Wiley. Thank you, Shug. Thank you, Jake Iacovetta. Thanks to everybody who was involved in making this happen. Thanks to everybody in the Discord. I won't be jumping into the Discord. I'm going straight off of this one. So if you're waiting for me to jump on there, just telling you now, I'm not going to do that. But join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. I'm going to be on the Discord for an hour, just shoot the shit with everybody while I probably play a video game. So come and join me for an hour while I shoot the shit with you. I'll talk about everything. And please come join my Patreon there, www.patreon.com/John Rocha. I just sent out a post on the Patreon to see what movies people want to watch along with me. Start suggesting some things, and I'll make a poll, and then I'm going to try to do 2 of those a month. I'm going to try to do at least 2 watch-alongs a month where I sit down with you all, and you all just listen to me and rant and rave about a movie as we're watching it all together. And of course, it'll be saved so you can watch it later on YouTube or what have you. But that's kind of what I'm looking at to do. And of course, I've got Ethan Irwin coming up. I've got this exhibition match coming up against all the other champions. Would love to have some help from patrons to kind of train me to be a better competitor and quiz me and things of that nature. So get involved there. Follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter and on Instagram. And get me over 20,000 rather on Instagram. Get me over 35,000 on Twitter. And any last things why I got to say here?
Yes. So just to mention, I would like to start this, the new patrons that joined today. We have 3 new people. Cutter H1 joined the Patreon. Brandon Buck and Bindon Mar, who joined the show. I think all those people joined the show today. So, and the reason they got to do that is because their link is in the Discord. You guys get a 20-minute period to join the show before everyone else does. Mm-hmm. So if you guys want that, join the Patreon.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, guys, don't forget, I just started this in January. I am moving as fast as I can to be as seamless as possible with everything that I'm doing and connect them all and have some synergy in this situation. And we will get there. But be patient with me and come along for the ride. Get on the Patreon train. There's going to be way more stuff coming down with the patrons. You guys are starting to become the people that I give a lot of my time to. And, of course, everybody here in the Outlaw Nation as well. But starting the Patreons get a little bit extra. So come and join, and let's all have some fun. And thanks again. And that's it. I think I got to go. Love all of you. Be well. As I say and I hope you all are self-isolating and self-quarantining well and taking care of yourselves and taking walks and listening to some music or watching a movie and taking some distance, taking the distance you need. Social distancing doesn't just happen outside, it can happen inside your place as well. You need a little time to yourself, do all that kind of stuff you need to do. Because like I say, at the end of every show that I do, whatever you need to do to get through the next second, next minute, next hour, next day, next week, next month, next year, please, I'd like you to do that. I love having you all a part of the Outlaw Nation, and I need the numbers to grow, not get less. So come on board and stay aboard with me, and we'll talk to you next time. Thank you, Wiley. We'll talk to you next time on the Outlaw Nation. Take care, everybody. Much love, and be safe out there, and wash your damn hands.